Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome, GOG rings, GOG-rifics, GOG-Ladites, GOG peoples. What's going on, everyone out there in GOG land? And welcome to, indeed, episode 250 of Pen and Pixels. I am your host, Arvin Eleron. This is the show that we do here every Tuesday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern, focusing on story and narrative in games, and I could not be happier to have episode 250 be shared with my dear friends on the D&D and GOG alike crew. I'm very excited to have them back, and I'm very excited for episode 250, and in honor of episode 250, not because of that, but it just worked out, we are actually going to be debuting something new, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But before I get there, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here on GOG. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. That is always appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel as well, because that is always appreciated too. That supports us as streamers, as does clicking through to our individual channels where we have our own sub buttons and Patreons and things like that. Please continue to support us here because it makes a difference in what we can do going forward with this wonderful channel, which has been so ably managed by one of my players and has been so well streamed upon by many of my colleagues here on GOG. It's been great to be a part of it, and wow, 250 episodes. That is a lot of episodes, people. I did not expect, how far things were going to go, but it's been great to be all with you during that time, and it's been great to share games with you, and I look forward to more to come. And that's the only thing I need to say about this, except to say that we are going to be with you here for the next few hours until we get, I guess we haven't. I'll have to double check and see what the next is. I don't remember exactly who's up next. I'll have to double check and go see. But next will be someone else that's awesome. And so we'll be with you until about 7 p.m. Eastern today. I will mention that on my channel tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, I will have the amazing R Vocalists, my voice team, playing a little bit of Paper Mario Origami King. So you'll want to check that out. But next up is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern will be Pantsless Aaron. Okay, playing some more Dead Space. All right, I feel bad for Pantsless Aaron. Every time I go on, he's like, I'm almost done. I think I'm almost done. I'm almost done. So he will hopefully cut through, make the Dead Space alive again, hopefully by the end of this session. So that's cool. Thank you, Kilgore. But that's what we've got going on. And for now, though, we've got a D&D session to play, and it's going to be an awesome one. And so I'm going to unmute myself and apologize profusely for interrupting anybody that I may have interrupted while doing so. And then I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to to reveal. Wait a second. What? There we go. Yes, fine. I was like, why is that not working? And bring everyone over to the awesomeness known as the GOG Stream Team plus Baby. That's what we've got is the GOG Stream Team plus Baby. Incidentally, I know they always say the joke about the baby looks like, but the baby does look a lot like you, Jai. I just want to be clear about that. Like, that's actually the case. I don't think there's any question about who the mom is here.
I've been told that before.
Yes.
So yes, I agree with you.
It is definitely the case. So it is my great pleasure to have all of these people here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but this time I'm going to finish with Mike Smith instead of finishing with Chai, because I want Mike to introduce what is to come next, and I am very excited about it. So I'm going to start with the person right below me who is absolutely wearing a branded, right? Oh, you're going to get it? There it is. Yeah, Cyberpunk. That's right. We talked about in the dystopian future, only Pyron's head will be visible and the letters Cyberpunk. That's all that will be visible in the dystopian future. And look, wait, it's Cyberpunk, the second shirt. Cyberpunk team. Wow, the Cyberpunk team. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know why we're advertising that on this channel. I don't really know what our connection is to this or why that would matter. But anyway, that's cool. That's what, she wants to wear, and that's fine. Pyron, of course, the head of the GOG Stream Team. It is lovely to have you back with us. How is everything going with you, and how are you feeling about being a part of the team? And most importantly, who are you playing today?
I'm fine. Hello, everyone. I'm having like a nice cup of tea and everything is great. And I've been looking forward to this. I started posting on Discord already yesterday how excited I am.
That's true.
I'm playing Gritagold, the Fire Dwarven Cleric of Foltus, who apparently is a moon god, as you might find out today. I always thought he was a sun god and he may his light shine on your way. But who knows, actually? Who knows? So yeah, everything is fine. I'm good. How are you? How's everyone?
We're all fine here, thanks. How are you? This is going to be great. Thank you, Pyron. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And also, and I'm going to, just officially, I've said this before, but not only is Pyron a good friend, but is just a tremendous GOG team leader. And I just want to make that clear in public in case anyone's curious. This is completely unprompted by anybody but myself. I just like to announce that every so often that we really appreciate how awesome Pyron is. And so having said that, now I'm going to lead us on to Darksaber 2K, who, although not the GOG team leader, is also awesome and has the best knowledge of metal music that I know in the vicinity. I just listened today, by the way, Saber. I was given the magic of Mongolian folk metal, which I did not know was a thing. And so now I've got a lot of the sort of sound. So I feel like I'm up on it. How you doing, Saber? How's life in the universe with you, and who are you playing and all that stuff?
I am doing great and super happy that you've discovered Mongolian folk metal. It's so good. Found a few bands of that recently myself as well. So yeah, in for some good times there, I think. It's just so good.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. Well, it's like the kind of thing that was just like, I didn't know what to expect. And they're like, oh, you've got to find out about this. I'm like, I do? And they're like, yeah, it's great. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I do then. And all that. So it was pretty sweet. Who are you playing today, sir?
I am playing as Selsigmauer, a morally flexible member of the group, although increasingly becoming the anchor of common sense, which, considering my earlier escapades, including things like severed fingers and being thrown at a moving horse, has come as a bit of a surprise.
It's a character arc, really.
It is a character arc, especially when I was thrown at that horse.
That was an arc, quite literally off the horse, yes.
And I probably have a new title that I'll be stealing very soon tonight, but I'll leave that for what's coming up next.
That is going to be good stuff. Yeah. Oh, yes. Actually, I just realized. Yes, that's true. And you'll see what that is in just a moment. That's going to be awesome. Okay. Then I'm going to jump down, as I said, to the person who currently has a baby whose head has just appeared, just right above the screen. And that, of course, is Tasty Chai. Chai, how are you? How is life, the universe, and everything? I can see that the baby looks super healthy and awesome, and that seems good. How's everything with you and stuff like that?
Oh, baby is very healthy. So healthy, in fact, that she's yelling in my face. So that's good. We love yelling babies. As far as life in the universe, everything's great. I have a cat walking on my keyboard. I have a screamy baby. Life is perfect. What else could you want?
Yes.
Today I am playing River, a silver dragonborn, who is also a member of the Harpers, who
sorry.
remember what she was doing. She's definitely doing something that's going to be good.
Okay. Sorry, I just realized, I beg your pardon. All of a sudden I came out of studio mode and I beg your pardon, I hit the wrong button. Never mind that. None of what you said. I'm sorry. I interrupted Chai. That was a total accident. Never mind anything.
Pay no attention.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Anyway, sorry. Go. Please repeat yourself. I'm sorry, Chai. That was not what I meant to do.
No, it's okay. I was just finishing up by saying I don't remember what we were doing, but I bet it'll be great. I slightly remember being hungover and
yes, and socks. You purchased socks. Yes,
that's right. I bought everyone socks.
Yes,
and then I don't. I'm not sure after that.
Yes, you bought socks. You went back, and yes, we will talk about that during the recap, which is going to be awesome. But always a pleasure to have Chai with us. And last but certainly not least, today we have our good friend Peripheral Mike, otherwise known as Mike Smith, who is looking all slick in front of the green screen. Look at this. Next thing you know, he's just going to be coming to us like, I'm broadcasting from space because that's where my career has gone now. And so I see that coming down the line. But Mike, I want to ask, first of all, how you are. Then I want to ask who you're playing. And lastly, can you introduce a little bit of what we're about to see that I didn't at all accidentally show just now, completely not on purpose?
Absolutely fine. I'd absolutely love to. So, a little bit about myself. Life is really good. Very good vibes are happening right now. Renovations on the house are going well. Green screen is also to hide some of the mess because this is one of the last rooms we're going to do. But some of the renovations are coming along really, really well. I'm learning a lot of DIY skills, which for a nerd is quite liberating. I'm not going to lie. I now own a power saw as well, which I'm very excited
Wow.
about. I have all my fingers still, which is good. who I'm playing Urash, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempest, who has had a bit of a rough ride. He's been cursed for quite a lot of this campaign, and now he's going a little bit cold turkey in regards to his curse. So we're waiting for him to get a new blade at the moment. We're actually on a bit of I'd say a side quest, but it kind of turned into a main side quest, if that makes sense. And then we're going to go back to, I believe it was Neverwinter, in order to get a blade and preferably get it consecrated by the Church of Tempest.
Yes.
If I'm correct in all of that.
Yes, that is correct. Actually, before you introduce the video, I'll just say quickly, that essentially is right. There is going to be, I imagine today is going to be doing so. Well, we'll see. Whatever you folks want to do, but my guess is that it's going to be tying up some loose ends with the consecrating the blade and all that kind of stuff. And then there is the matter of, I think you might have wanted to tell Narissa, but you also have to think about finding, now that you've got some details about the fact that there is this ship apparently that has Hecaton, and now you need to find the ship, and that's going to be an interesting little matter. But at least you've narrowed it down. You're almost all the way there, so to speak. So I will look forward to doing that. But before this happens, chat, we have a very exciting thing, and Mike is going to explain it for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last, I'd say, few months, I've been working on a new campaign trailer for the channel. I really wanted this to be, I know I did the previous video where I introduced a lot of the players. I really wanted this to feel like a proper trailer. So if someone would just find it on YouTube or kind of Googling GOG.com Storm King's Thunder, they'd be able to get a kind of external view of the campaign and the story so far. So basically the video essentially is set from the third person perspective of a traveler going to a tavern and finding out almost the rumor, almost the legend of the group that were battling the giants. And some of those rumors, stories can change with each telling, as you'll find out, but some of those rumors are unsubstantiated, some are true. So it kind of hammers home the fact that whilst adventurers in any campaign go through the Sword Coast and they have their adventures in various fantasy worlds, some of the stuff they leave behind may be good, may be bad. They blow up an evil wizard's tower, which is fantastic. However, that tower fell on a farmhouse, and now that family, can't provide for their loved ones, etc., etc. So it's kind of the double-sided nature of adventuring. It's taken forever to do this, and I'm really sorry about that. But it's one of those things, because there was no deadline. Arva's been absolutely golden, saint-like almost in his patience with this video, because he just basically, I pitched the idea to him, he loved it, and he gave me complete freedom. So I went and hired a voice actor. I went and got training in regards to video editing and lighting techniques and all this sort of stuff. It's been a real growth experience for me, but I really wanted to give this to everyone, if that makes sense. Because this campaign is a big part of my life. It has been for a long time. Playing Dungeons and Dragons has been a big part of my life, and I want to be able to, for something that's given me so much, I want to be able to give something back. And other than my attendance in the actual sessions and my witty charm and banter, the only thing I can really give is, if I can give something back, then I can give something back to it. So people, even years and years after this campaign is finished, they'll know that this is kind of how we did it and this is who we were. So, and that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy it. I will accept only positive feedback to hello@peripheralmedia.net, and I am available for other video projects in the future.
Yes, and that's true. Also, all those things that he just said are actually, that part is true. That he can do other video stuff, and I am continuing to build my own stable of video producers for the Empire. I mean, yeah. So anyway, this is a good video. It really is good. So this is about 5.5 minutes, folks. It's 5.5 minutes of gold. So I'm going to start playing it. The reason I stopped it furiously is because Studio Mode did not want me to do that and resize it. So I'm going to size it down because I'd love to be able to see the players and various reactions to things as we go along. So chat, with no further ado, I'm going to mute my mic. And ladies and gentlemen, I present from Mike Smith, the GOG story so far. Enjoy.
How can I help?
Do you mean the giant slayers? Aye, I know of them. They came through here not long ago. Let's sit somewhere a bit quieter. Here, let me take that ale off your hands. Oh, no. You go get yourself another one and I'll tell you all about 'em. Oh, no. They never actually called themselves the Giant Slayers, but that's what some of us know 'em as. We were in Bryn Shander when the giants attacked. A lot of us barely made it out alive. Anyway, this group, they said that the ancient code of the giants, the Ordening, I think it was called, well, they said that it had been broken. The giants' king, King Hecaton, had vanished apparently under mysterious circumstances. Well, with no monarch to rule over them, the giants acted like most folk, either throwing tantrums like babies or plotting schemes like politicians. See, they say they were after some great evil that had poisoned some of the giants' minds and done something to this Hecaton, this Storm King. All very grand if you ask me. We had a good giggle about it that night in the tavern after they came into town. Giants fighting each other. Grand giant conspiracies. It was all very funny to us. Well, let's just say, once your town has been besieged by giants, you become a bit more open to the idea of grand conspiracies and ancient orders. We thought it best to believe that there was, in fact, some mysterious happenings around the giant folk. Tell you what though, those adventurers seem bent on sorting it out too. Well, from what I hear, the group itself seemed to change from time to time, you know? And you know what stories are like. They change a little with each telling. Some people tell them as heroes. Others, not so much. First, there was the dwarf. Reckon she was the leader. Hardy lass she was. Greta Goldenfire. Cleric of that moon god Faltus, I think she said. Very religious type. Strong, dependable, smart head on her shoulders. Always seemed to keep the rest of them in line too. Here, I saw her heal a killing wound on someone once using only the light from her hands. True God-given talent, that one. Then again, depending on who you talk to, there are those that saw a fire-hungry zealot, a fanatic. Some even muttered the word cultist under their breath when she wasn't about, wanting to see the world burn for her almighty, and with the power in her hands to topple buildings without breaking a sweat, no less. Then there was this hobbit, see? Celsig Mauer. He was one of them lovely roguish types. Always fond of a bit of a gamble if the stakes were high enough. And the occasional merchant who didn't ask too many questions. Charming lad for a halfling. But there are those who say he was some sort of master thief. The ghost of the coast. Some deadly assassin from a dark corner of the realms made from smoke and shadow. Death in his footsteps, they say. Oh, the orc? Aye, big un he was. Orash, he said his name was. Never caught his last name. Truth be told, I don't think he even knew what a last name was. Seemed a bit troubled though, that one. But you could tell he had a good heart in him. Gentle soul in. Loved a bit of food, wine and dancing he did. And we can all appreciate that in someone, right? Yeah, he had us all dancing in a tavern one night before... well, before the giants arrived. But I heard things. Rumours of him taking lives with fury and anger, all to appease his war god Tempest. With that blade of his, he would whirl into a rage and you'd see nothing but red mist for miles, cleaving anything in front of him in two with the very strength of the earth behind him and no regard for his own safety. Not something I'd ever like to see in person, let me tell you. Oh, the Dragonborn. Oh, she was lovely, that river. Proper bright eyes, full of curiosity. Don't know why, but other people seem worried about her. Not me. I talked to her for ages, I did. She seemed to have this unbreakable childlike innocence to her. Always curious, wanting to know how things worked, why they did, and if she could eat them. Very food motivated, that one. And not just regular food, mind. I mean, anything she could feasibly chew and swallow. Saw her eat a chair leg once. Whole thing, 2 bites. Maybe it's a dragon thing. Though, some say she was a ferocious mage. energy blasting from all her claws and enough raw power in her to make Elminster himself muck his britches. I never thought nothing like that, though. Not the River I met, but some. Well, they whispered that maybe she was Tiamat, reborn after that dragon business a few years ago. And if she had half as much power as people say, well, I can almost see why they'd think such things. But I'll tell you this for free, stranger. When I met them, they were determined to help people. Good hearts they had, willing to stand by each other through thick and thicker. If you believe the stories, they've been through near-death fights, poisonings, invasions, giants, dragons, and planes knows what else. But that didn't stop them, not like it would most people. They kept going, picking themselves up when they got knocked down. So call them heroes, villains, or whatever you want. I could tell by the look in their eyes that they were seeing this through to the bitter end. This Storm King's thunder. Where are they now? Well then, stranger. I'm sure my memory could be jogged by another ale or two. How about
it? Yay! Oh man, such good stuff. Chat, what do you think? From the great Mike Smith.
Thank you.
Super good. It is crazy McCrazy awesome. I'm very pleased with it. I think one of the things I liked about it too was I hadn't thought about the whole dual nature of this. The fact that, as Mike said, you could see these people as heroes, or depending on where, maybe they weren't always, heroes. And the truth, of course, is that they are good heroes in the end, but they're, they do leave some things in their wake sometimes. But that was incredible. Yeah. The voice acting is on point. The music, by the way, provided by Green Forge Studio, let us say Green Forge Studio, which has licensed music for us to use in our games and such. So kudos to them. They're great. If you're looking for licensed music, I recommend going to them. Green Forge Studio is really good stuff. It's actually the person behind it, Gabe Lefkowitz, is actually the concert master for the Louisville Orchestra and did Pop-Up Dungeons soundtrack and stuff like that. And this is a full orchestra. Like that's, he uses an actual, whatever it is, 20, 25 piece orchestra that he recorded this with, not just digital instruments. So that was really neat. It came out great. So congratulations, Mike, and thank you. That's a worthy tribute, I think, to this campaign and to the D&D we've played here for a number of years now, starting back with the the Temple of the Nightbringers, I think, way back in the day, and then
all my time,
exactly, yeah. With and then we had Flails, we had Chrono Wolf in there that played. We had obviously Mega Pie Man, PhD, who played with us for a while and everything. So that was great, and yeah. A worthy tribute, and the tales grow bigger than the actual adventure. Exactly, Madden. Exactly, especially with this group.
Add one final thing,
please.
So all attribution and credits are available on the video description of my YouTube channel, and if everyone's okay with it, looking directly at Byron, I'll post a link to it in chat. So if you want to find out who did what art, that sort of thing, who did the music, who did the fantastic character sketches, who did the video of the fireplace, all that sort of good stuff. Everything's on there, so you can find out exactly who did what. Who did the voice acting as well. So there you go. So I'll stick that in chat now. Thank you.
We could also upload it to the GOG.com Twitch YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'll send you the link.
That would be great. I'm super happy that this thing that I started as a lark and saying, hey, would anybody be interested in playing some D&D with me maybe once a month, has become a significant, for me anyway, a significant part of my experience on this channel. But I think a lot of people have everyone's sort of grabbed hold of it, and that's great. It's not always easy to do that, but we were talking this morning. I saw that Terry Toons, some of whose drawings, by the way, were featured in this. But Terry Toons was talking this morning about a rather difficult subject I won't go into here. You can see it on my own channel if you wish, on my VODs later. But one of the points that I was making about that was the importance of community in overcoming this. And I firmly believe the community is still the way through. And for me, Dungeons and Dragons growing up was always kind of the way. I didn't realize this till much later, to be able to say I love you to people around the table at a time that I was not able to process that in my own head, because I was 8, 9, 10, 11. And it didn't really occur to me until much later that that's really, I think, what was going on for a lot of us. And so this game is important to me. And this particular group has been a really great group because of their chemistry and their good goodwill and the just sort of general sense of fun about it, that we all look forward to it. And I think that's great. And you, chat, are a part of this because you go along for the journey with us on this every month. So thank you again, Mike, for really, really good work. And if you're like, wow, that's amazing, how can I get a video like this? Let me refer you to Peripheral Mike and the details he gave you before, because now he has all this information. Just be aware that any project you want to use him for, I have dibs. So just be aware that if I have a project, he needs to do that first, and that's how it goes.
I don't remember seeing that in the contract. I don't remember seeing that in small print.
Yeah, exactly. This actually, Mike has no say over this. It's just me that can do that, and no, I'm joking. But anyway, so great stuff, Mike. Thank you again. Yes, Pyron.
As we're talking about community and people that are being important to us, I would like to point out a release that happened on GOG 5 days ago, and that was important for many of us.
Yes.
And that you might not have seen. I'm going to post a link in chat right now, because all of us knew Kilobyte, and this release was really important to him, and we are all very, very happy that it finally happened. And it would mean a lot if you take a look at the release, because it's a special thing right now.
Yeah. And that was really, really nice. I publicly thanked at the time both Pyron and then GOG more broadly for doing this, because that was really nice. It wasn't necessary for them, but it's true. Kilobyte had worked with the developers to kind of bring this over to GOG for a long time. Of course, Kilobyte had done a guest stream on GOG as well. Long time mod on my channel. In fact, the overlay that you see right now was made by Kilobyte. And Kilgore did a wonderful job streaming that also. I watched some of that stream, and he did a really good job streaming that game for everybody. So yeah, it was very nice of GOG, and I'm personally very appreciative, because he was important to us. He was a friend of mine, obviously. It was another loss of far too many that 2020 sadly has given us, but this was a fitting tribute, as I said, to his memory. And so yeah, thank you for everybody who made that happen. And yes, that is about bringing people together in community, and it is a corrective to the idea that we're all a bunch of individual savages kind of roaring at each other. That is not true. And it is important that we continue to affirm connection through things like that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Pyron. Okay, with all that said, what say 8 months and 14 days? God, I can't even, that's amazing. It's incredible. Anyway, with that said, what say we play a game, folks, and get into the game that has been happening. I will give you folks a little bit of a summary of what happened last time, and I'm going to play, wait, what's this? What do I hear? Wait for it. And music. There we go. Tavern music from, again, Greenforge Studios. So this is, again, thank you to Greenforge for making it possible for us to use this. In our last session, we had a rather odd session, I think it might be said. After the folks, the intrepid crew, had managed to depart from the Grand Dame, the ship that was basically a floating casino. The players had tracked down details about this golden goose coin that they possessed, which I have right there. This golden goose coin, who the hell is calling me in the middle of this? Shut up, I'm playing D&D. 1-800 number, go to hell. So the golden goose coin, which led them eventually to this casino that used this particular coin, where they met a couple of unique figures. One of them, Pao Ming, chief of security of this boat, and the second one, Lord Casper Drylund, who seemed to have a particular affinity for octopi for some reason. The chat managed to meet the party, chat met him too, I guess, but the party not only met him, but they also met none other than Nesto, the bard, who revealed himself to be not just a crazy, insane guy, but part of Greta's favorite group, the Harpers, who had actually been watching over the group to a certain degree and made contact with River, let her know that there was, movement afoot to try to track down some of the information that the party had brought to follow up on that information. And so with Nesto the Bard there, the party decided they wanted to interrogate Lord Casper Drylund. Coming up to his room, they went into the room and found him there and basically intimidated him into giving them the information that they needed, whereupon he had some bizarre terrible stroke thing that happened to him. Nobody knows exactly what happened, and fell over dead as a bunch of guards basically started to come in, including Pao Ming. Pao Ming ultimately allowed the party to leave and said essentially, all right, you have 5 seconds basically to get the hell off this boat, because Pao Ming was going to take over. And so the party basically leaped in and swam their way back over, or floated, depending. I think there might have been some water walking somewhere in there, over to the shore, and then eventually made their way back to Yartar, having gathered the information that they needed. Because the biggest information they got from Lord Dryland before he was killed is that the Hecaton has indeed been kidnapped and is kept aboard a large ship called the Morkoth. And that the Morkoth has been traveling through the trackless sea, basically trying to avoid detection as this naval prison. And so the party has got to find the Morkoth so that they can find King Hecaton. But before they had to do that, they knew that there were some loose ends they wanted to tie up. River, for example, wanted to get blind drunk and then get a pet. That may not have been what you wanted to do, but that's ended up what happening with, and I believe the name of the pet was, there was a rat, and it was Mr. Sweet Pants or something. I think I wrote this down.
Something like that. Mr. Squeak Pants.
Squeak Pants. I have it now. Mr. Squeak Pants, to go along with Fluffball the Mastiff as the party becomes a mobile rescue shelter. So they got that. In addition, they managed to get cleaned up and ready to go, and decided that they were going to teleport back to Neverwinter so that Orash could get the blade that he had left to be made, and then have that blade consecrated at Tempest. Hopefully, the hope is, curing some of this curse that he's been suffering under since he lost his axe of blood back at the fire giant's lair. Once that's done, the party then has to decide whether they want to go back to Nerissa to tell her what's up, whether they want to go out and track down the Morkoth, or what, basically they want to do in sort of next. But that is basically what we're looking at. And so we're going to pick up with the party as they have teleported from Yartar into the city of Neverwinter. And so it is here that we will pick up with the party. And party, it is now up to you in terms of what you would like to do. I'm just going to move you all over there. Never mind that X. That X is, never mind. That X goes over here. Not like that. Go here. X here. And then here. Good, lovely. Okay, so now the party is back in Neverwinter. And party, it is now up to you. What would you like to do?
Well, take myself off mute for a start. That would be helpful. I would definitely like. So, how much time has passed?
Since. Sorry.
Is my axe going to be ready at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's been a few days, I think. So yes, it would be by now.
Well, I'm going to turn to the party and say, well, I want to go and pick up my axe. I don't know if you guys need to do anything. I'm probably going to be going to the church afterwards. So I don't mind meeting you somewhere, and then we can decide what we're doing.
Kind of your show at this point.
Yeah, well, if you guys want to come with me, that's perfect. If you don't, that's perfect. Like, I don't know if you want to do some more shopping. I've forgotten the last time we did our shopping montage, and if we looted anything since then. Can't remember. I checked his pockets. Nope, no loincloth.
No, I have these tokens I wasn't allowed to convert.
Oh, wow. Now you've just got lots of, like, maybe you can make a game out of them. Maybe you call them, like, cogs or something.
Cute.
Maybe if I get back on the casino we all got chased off of, I can convert them again.
Alive is the word you're...
Pulls himself dripping wet over the rail. Hi, I just wanted to... He's got the coins.
Chased off of the casino alive. That could have ended one of two ways.
I was not in the group at the time. I don't know what you did. I deny all knowledge.
I'm pretty sure we relayed the information to you.
Oh, yeah, we 100% have relayed this info to you. You haven't just come back. You're just like, but what about the casino?
I don't know.
Why didn't you go swimming?
You heard the good news about casinos.
Yeah. He's like, I left you alone for 2 seconds. Like, I jump out of a window. Next thing I know, we're jumping off a boat.
I do have a kind of actual concern about the events, though. What proof have you got?
Of?
what you were told. I mean, they were barely receptive to us last time. And I don't think coming back and going, this is what we were told, it's the truth, honest, is going to carry a lot of weight.
Well, that's an excellent point, Mr. Hobbit. And I don't have any proof. I don't think we have any proof, other than the fact that this is what we believe to be true. And I think it's enough that if we were to return to Maelstrom and speak to, I'm going to say Narissa, because I believe she's the good one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is genuinely Urash not remembering who's who. The good giant, the good lady giant, right? And go, look, we know this information so far. Story so far. We know this information. This may or may not be true, but it's a lead, right? Which has gotten us this far, right? Hope, prayer, and a lead. And, oh, by the way, we can resurrect your mum. Do you want us to do that for you as well while we're here? That might, I don't know, they might not just go, well, that's clearly rubbish.
Mm.
They might go, oh, okay, well, yeah, you've resurrected my dead mum. She'll tell us what's happened, hopefully. I'm not quite sure how necromancy works, or restoration, for that matter. I'm expecting something like giant zombies, but that's just Urash. And maybe her information corroborates our information, or maybe they just go, cool, what proof have you got? And we go, none. See you in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Because it is our word against Imrith's, and he's probably going to try and debunk everything we tell him.
Yep, probably. I think the key would probably be to try and get Narissa on her own, if we can. And if not, we just give the information and leave. Like, that's kind of it, really.
So if they let us leave.
Well, I think at that point we
Not
go.
trying to put a downer on what was otherwise a very well executed operation that in no way got someone killed and us chased off of a casino.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, technically, he's not. Wait, is Dryland dead? Because he was brought. He was
Yes.
brought back, wasn't he?
She killed him again.
Killed him again. Okay, I forgot that bit.
You definitely gave me that impression, at least. You seemed pretty dead when I jumped out the window.
No. Well, he was dead, and then he got better, and then he got dead again. So yeah, that's a bit confusing. Normally, when things die, they stay dead. I don't really understand that. I'll be honest.
Not when Greta's around, though. She's usually quite good at not deading people.
She's very good at not deading
Which is apparently not necromancy. I still haven't wrapped my head around the particulars of that.
I've been not deaded a few times by Greta. I'm very thankful. I've got all my bits because of her. I'm very, very thankful.
Actually, me too. I say, looking at my hand.
Stitched on finger. You're like, yeah, that's all right. Good work. Yeah. So I think I need to get my axe. I'm starting to look a bit agitated now. I'll get my axe, get to the church, and then we can take it from there. If we want to have a discussion about if we should go back to Maelstrom, that's fine. I think we should, because I'd want to know what was going on, and also I think that's a really expensive scroll we've got. I kind of motioned to the scroll case on Greta's back. I'm like, that probably don't want to be carrying that around too much.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to say we shouldn't, but I just thought we should be aware of certainly what I see the possibilities to be when we get there. We're not very good at future possibilities as a collective. We sort of live in the now.
Yeah, that's exactly how you should be. What were you going to say, Greta?
You can see that Greta is more or less standing there, and she seems to be really taciturn and deep in thought, and you're not really sure she is actually listening to the whole debate.
Are you feeling okay? Greta, are you feeling all right?
You know what? Well, you know what the solution would have been? The solution would have been trial by sea law.
Trial by sea law? Are you back on?
What have seals got to do with it?
No.
You know, I just threatened that strange mage with setting her boat on fire. I can't go running around doing that. I cannot threaten to set things on fire all the time. She more or less inherited this in the legal way. Trial by sea law. That would have been the way to go.
Where would we get a sea lion from?
That's not how it works. You don't need a sea lion.
Fine, dugong, whatever.
You have a dog. You don't need another pet.
You see
Yeah, but he can't
Fluffball,
spin.
when you say dog, Fluffball's like,
Oh.
Oh, come on. You are a dog. You might be the best boy, but you're still a dog.
stares
The
back at the
refuge's like,
box that has
"You are the best
Squeak
boy."
Pants very suspiciously.
Squeak Pants is not a dog. Nope.
Okay, Squeak Pants. No. I
Tiny
just meant
dog.
Fluffball.
It's a
I mean,
very
I'm-
small dog.
Very small puppy.
I mean, I've spent more time in the forest than the sea, but I'm pretty sure neither of these are aquatic animals either.
What?
Well, you can't make a dog fight in the sea. At the very least, it's cruelty.
I don't mind, you both lost me.
I just. Ah!
So I'm going to go get my axe, and I'll circle back around to this.
Yeah, I'm not super sure what we're talking about, so I'm gonna follow Urash.
I'm just like, I don't know either. I'm part of the conversation.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I make good-looking mouth words. That's all I do.
Okay, so you folks are making your way over to where the blacksmith
I
was.
definitely am. I don't know if the rest. I think River's following me. I don't know.
I'm going with.
Okay, cool. So is Greta coming as well, or are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm just following behind, kicking up dust angrily. Nobody's really sure what I'm angry at. It could be myself.
Okay.
The sulk fire.
The sulking fire. You just, you don't want to mess with that. All right. So you make your way through the streets of Neverwinter. Now it is about midday, but it is just sort of during a weekday, so it's not as busy as previous times that you've been there. But still, it's Neverwinter. It's a big city, so there are a number of people there. And you make your way back to what this time does not have a huge fighting ring assembled in front of it, and that is Breanor the blacksmith's. And when you get to the outside, you can hear, Morin's beard. You hear something like clang, clang, clang inside, and then a tap, 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 and then clang, clang, and then tap, tap, tap. Someone seems to be pounding away at some metal.
I'll unmute myself again.
I can't even hear customers these days. Clang, clang.
What was the blacksmith's name again?
Breanor.
Hello, Breanor. You keeping well?
And he turns around. You see that he's got sweat pouring down his face. He has a leather apron in the front, and he has this half sort of this metal, this sort of strangely shaped piece of metal. He says, you're back. That's good. You're getting a halfway reasonable weapon. Not this. Look at this, will ya? Look at this slag. And he holds up this piece of like what looks like basically some kind of slightly curved large piece of metal. And he's like, someone comes into my shop a couple of days ago, you understand, tells me he needs a rush order on this weapon. I say, what kind of weapon? And he says, it's called in my country a scimitar. He doesn't say it like that. It's actually a scimitar, but it's got an SC. I counted a scimitar. And he says, you got to make one for me as soon as possible. And I ask him, what's that? And he says, it's a sword, a curved sword. And I just stare at him, and I say, curved sword. And so I made this thing for him in this slag, fighting away at it, pushing away at this thing. Who uses a curved sword, for heaven's sake? Absolute nonsense. He's going to use it and it'll break in combat sure as I'm born. Anyway, there's a more rational weapon to be paid attention to. Vah! And he kind of tosses it into the fire with this clamber, and he walks over and says, you're here for the thing that really matters. It's some of my finest work. And he reaches down below the counter, and he's down there for a minute, and then he brings up from below, ha! Just as you always requested. And he brings up this tiny little, like, stiletto dagger. And he's like, what you'd always hoped for. This was what you wanted, right? Stiletto of doom, you said?
No, are you sure you're not confusing me with a different half-orc barbarian?
I'm kidding you. That's not for you. That's for one of those, what do they call them, halfling types. No, not at all.
I look at it, I'm just like, well, I could pick my teeth with it, I guess.
So he puts it away, and he says, no, and he pulls out, here's what you're looking for. Now, he brings out this axe. Now, I don't think you had seen the form of the axe before, correct? You had just said that you wanted an axe, right?
Or an axe. I gave him
Um,
all of my stuff.
yeah, and it basically a great axe. So when he brings this out, the first thing you note is the pommel of the axe, which is basically wrapped in what looks, at least initially, like black leather. But as you look more closely, you can see that it is fixed and riveted with these dark blood red, probably not gems, but this sort of dark red metal of some kind, which is riveted in down the pommel each step. And there are, along all four directions, cardinal directions of the hilt, basically, north, south, east, west, these things go all the way down, except for just the hilt spot itself where you would put your hands. There is a cross guard on this thing as well, which apparently is a small one that's designed to protect your hands. But even more notable is the shaft of the blade, which gleams in the firelight as he shows it to you. And then the blade itself, this giant two-bladed axe, which, as you look at it, almost shimmers as if there is heat slightly still floating up from the top of it. And in the middle of it, you can see that there have been several runes that have been carved, which glow faintly with a dark red aura. And he says, "That last part's a little one of my own. You'll need to wait until it's been properly, what did you call it now, blessed, consecrated, and then you might see what it actually does. Other than that, though, I've never made a better weapon. I've been waiting a long time for the right experience, the right moment, and this has been both of those things. But an axe means nothing without the axe man. It's about who wields it, after all." And he sort of pulls it up and hands it to you with the hilt out towards you.
And I tense to it for a moment. I put my hand out and pause, and then gently take the axe handle and take it off him.
So when you take the handle, the thing that you note first is the balance of this weapon. It is beautifully, beautifully balanced to such a degree that if you were to do one of the classic, like balancing the end of it on your finger type of thing, you'd be able to. The same thing, except balancing it on your hand. It is so great an axe that it looks to be about Celsig's size, like basically this thing. It is very impressive looking, and yet the balance is spectacular and surprisingly light under the circumstances. It's got heft where you need it, but it is not sort of weighed down as you might have expected. The underneath your fingers, you can feel that the leather doesn't seem to be like leather. It's almost like it molds into your fingers like you were dealing with some kind of soft foam, except that there's a strength below it. You can feel the kind of heat of the metal below. And indeed, the entire weapon feels like it has a bit of this sort of heat kind of shimmering through it. Again, as if it's just been taken from the forge, or from the oven, I guess, one might say. So you've got that as well. And the last thing that you note is, and this may just be your, this may just be how you felt about it. It's possible. But the last thing you notice is that it seems to you that the runes slightly shimmer as you take the axe from him. It's at that next step where that happens. And you don't know whether that's true. Maybe that's just being silly, but it sure seems like that's what you saw. Again, this dark crimson.
So is there room for me to kind of not exactly like swing my axe around, but if I do a few like practice swings around like my shoulders, am I going to take out some of his furniture?
No, I think if you try to spin directly in the middle of it, but yeah, actually has anticipated your question, and he says, you can't do that inside my shop. You need more room here. And so he brings you out in front of his house where the little fight was taking place before, and he says, "Hey, you, clear off!" And he sort of, like, a couple of street urchins get up and like run off like hurriedly as he exits the house and enters the area outside. And a couple of people sort of stop and look over, but you now have a wide range, assuming your companions give you room, a wide range to be able to swing the axe.
So I'm gonna hold the axe out directly in front of me with both hands, arms straight, elbows locked. I'm going to close my eyes, take a deep breath, and say a silent prayer to Tempest, and thank him for this wonderful, glorious looking weapon. And then I'm going to practice swinging it around my shoulders. I'm going to practice swinging it low and high and just see how it feels. Normal swings, not like I'm trying to murder oxygen. I'm just trying to like get a feel for it. Like if I were to just, to jump back out for a second, in Lord of the Rings when Aragorn takes the sword off the child and he's just like, this is a fine blade. And like something a little bit like that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, or I was just thinking about in the Two Towers films, Eowyn in the Two Towers does her little sword thing and then like stops 1 inch before Aragorn's face type of thing. Yeah. So this cuts through the air as if you were murdering oxygen beautifully. And you notice something else, Urash. As you're doing this, you begin to hear the slightest, in fact, not just you, everyone, including your companions, can hear the slightest hum coming from it. The type of thing. It's a slight hum. And as you look, you can see that the color of the red metal down the hilt, and I really should say down the shaft because that's going to be confusing. They're not on the hilt itself, but that leads to that. And then also on the blade, the runes again, those dark red crimson runes on the blade of the axe itself. Both of those again seem to shimmer as if you were looking at a spark flying through the air above a fire. You have never used a weapon, including the Axe of Blood, that felt as well balanced as this.
So I continue practicing. I stop. There's a smile I cannot hold back, and I don't put it on my back yet. I'm kind of not cradling it, but I'm holding the blade in the palm of my hand as I'm holding it, just to enjoy looking at this axe. And I turn to Braynor and I say, I don't know how you've done it, but this feels like I've always been missing this axe. And I would give you 10 times what I gave you if I could. I would drag every legendary creature that I could find and slay to you to make something like this, and I can't thank you enough for it.
And he holds up his hand. He's like, there's no reason to waste words and breath on words when you could be using it on action. Listen. I was glad to make the weapon, because I needed the right person to make it for. If you really want to thank me, you can do something important for me. All of you.
Anything.
Bring a little more peace to the Sword Coast, eh? Yes, I make weapons. I make weapons because I have to. But in truth, it's not good for business to have people always worried about the hammerfall landing right on the cities. To have my supply lines of people around me, not to mention my own clan back home, always at threat. If you can bring an end to whatever threatens the coast, has driven the giants mad, if you can bring an end to whatever is going on within this city, and picked up elsewhere across the Sword Coast, well then you'll have paid me back. It's dangerous, but it's also the only thing that can be done. There was a time when I didn't just make weapons, I used them. It's about how you use it and where. So go do what you're going to do with it. But don't dishonor the weapon you've got. It's part of you now, hopefully in a good way. Don't forget it, or the people that made it for you.
With that, I put my axe on my back, attached to the holder, the hilt that's there. And I seem to be standing just a bit taller, maybe. Don't know if that's perceptible to anyone, but I look a bit straighter, and I just hold my hand out to shake his hand, and I say, if by my blood I can do this, then I will.
And he clasps your hand. He says, good. Then make sure you do it. And if you happen to have that axe cut into a few of the less good types that might do some damage, well, I'd be alright with that too.
Aye, I'm sure we all would. Thank you, Braynor.
He nods and he says, alright, be off with you, I got work to do. Time to go in and deal with curved swords. And he kind of turns with a huff and walks back into his store. Okay.
I just look to everyone, I'm like, well, I think I have a church to go to.
If swords will never catch on.
It's the strangest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Here, pre-bent sword. Even I know that's a duff buy.
It's insanity, man. Even I know that. I'm a barbarian.
Branor like leans his head.
swords.
Branor leans
Hey.
his head out. I used to be an adventurer like you, but then I took it. And leans back in. Okay, so you set off to the Citadel of Tempest. Now, I believe I'm trying to remember which one this was. Whether this was this Tempest or not. I believe there was a. Let me scroll down because you've been to a couple of these Tempest ones that I want to know about, which is
Yeah, so I've been to 2, I believe. One was not long after I got cursed, and
Right.
one was very recently. This one, in fact, and somebody, one of the Battle Brothers there, told me that if I could get something to replace the axe that cursed me, and I could pass a challenge or a quest in the axe's name, so to speak, then it would be consecrated.
Right.
That was essentially.
That's right. Yes. So I remember that. I just need to make sure that I had the right details of what this was. Okay, good. So all right, when you get to this particular temple and you arrive there, what I'm trying to track down, and the person I'm trying to find the name of, is specifically the person that you talked to who said that, because I remember him and I just don't recall now what I called him. I'm trying to remember the hold that I had. It was not Ironsides. It was not Lord Ardor.
Yeah, I don't have it on my journal, unfortunately. I must have noted it down and not transferred it.
Yeah, I think. His name was not Bob, no.
No, don't be silly. It was Dave.
Yeah, exactly. It was Steve. What do you mean? Shoot, I don't know why I can't find. Okay. Anyway, so I remember the person in question, the leader of the temple, when you arrive, is there waiting, and he sort of stands up as he sees you. Now, I do believe that you may remember that this temple had a lot of people in there basically sparring and battling each other, you may remember. So there was a lot of that sort of back and forth, like the sound of swords and hammers and axes falling on shields and sometimes just on, armor itself and all that kind of thing. And this large man, who I believe is who I had was the leader of it. I just don't remember his name. But the large man is here sort of doing some sparring with a young, looks like a very sort of young recruit almost, kind of fresh-faced, and kind of towers over the guy. Right now, the kid has got sort of full armor, and he's trying to swing a hammer somewhat in the direction of the leader of the temple, and is not doing so super successfully. A couple times he swings and kind of almost falls over, and the young man's like, "Nope, you do it again. Balance, boy." And he gets up and, and starts like heaving. No. Not like you're throwing a sack of grain around on your farm. Pay attention. Focus. You've got to focus your strength. Look, and he sees her and he sees you, and he says, Look at him. He has no problem with this. Come here, Orosh. And he kind of waves you over.
All right, I'll go over.
He says, look at this. You see this? And he sees the rest of you, and he says, oh, look, the rest of you. You. And he points at you, Selsig. Here, come over, please.
I saunter over.
So he says, all right, look at the two of these. Do you see anything unusual about them? And the fresh-faced recruit is like, no. That's because you're not paying attention. They can have perfect balance in combat without hurting each other, because they know how to fight. So that if Urash were to pick up Selsig, and he stares at you, Urash.
What now?
And I pick up Selsig.
So you're like, huh.
Oh, not again.
You'll notice that he's fully balanced right now, and indeed you're like sort of balancing on top of his hand, I guess, basically, Selsig. And fully balanced. He's not going to throw it like a sack of meal. When he puts him down, he can toss him in the air, catch him, and put him down like nobody's business. He kind of looks over side-eyed at you, Urash.
I just put him down gently.
Okay. And so he looks vaguely disappointed, like he was hoping you would toss him first. But he's like, he nods like, yes. He said, so you see, it's all about balance. Now there, go work on that over on the training dummy there. And oh yeah, yes sir, yes sir, and like picks up the hammer, which looks as tall as he is, and brings it over and begins to start like everything he does is like this grunt of incredible energy. And the man sighs, shakes his head. It's difficult these days to bring in the new breed, the younger generation. Sometimes I wonder what will happen. How many more things could this young generation, what do they call them now? The Coastennials? What will the Coastennials ruin next? That's my question. And he sort of looks down at you and says, nonetheless, I am sure you're here for better reasons than that. Last time you were here, you were telling me about something you were suffering under. He kind of tilts his head. Do you still feel that way? Still suffering?
A shadow has not passed, but it is lessened. Through our adventures and our companionship, that has lessened. I've had the support of my friends. I motion to the others, my tribe almost, to say that they've had my back through this. And the physicality that I've lost, the physical nature of the spiritual piece of me that's no longer there, I think has recently been renewed. And I take the axe from my back and I just lay it in my hands. I recently got this. I traded everything for it. Everything I've collected over our adventures has been poured into this to, I'd say, cure me. But I know that's for me rather than having an item. What I want to be able to do is use this to bring me closer to Tempest and his Almighty. And then I believe that will mend the scars that have been laid upon my soul.
And he kind of nods slowly, and he looks down at it, and he says, may I look at it for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's strange is I'm shocked that I can just give it up.
Yeah.
Like I hand this to him, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And for a second, I want to say no, and I want to go, no, it's mine. But I'm just like, yeah, of course you can.
So when he sort of takes note of you going through this little mental calculus possibly, and when you hand it over to him, he holds it up and he looks at the runes and he says, who made this axe? Where'd you get it?
It was a smith by the name of Braynor in town.
And a little half smile appears in his face. Of course it was. I might have expected as much. He didn't tell you, did he, who he served? When he was an adventurer, did he?
He did not, no.
And he turns around and he looks at the great statue behind him holding a hammer, which is heading, basically an enormous statue of a hammer heading down a shield which is already shattered, being held by some enemy. And he says, in the old days, Braynor served Tempest. It was right here that he in fact was able to pass his oaths where he left behind his adventuring days. Yes. Doesn't surprise me that this was from Braynor. It surprises me a little that he's finally decided to take this step. He's infused this, you see, with a powerful magic. It's a magic that's only given to one at a time. What he's done is given you what he himself once had. A strong metal, if that is, it can be brought to you, if it can be attuned in the right way. Great gift, if you can be worthy of it.
I hope to be. I don't know. I know that I have work to do, and I know that my quest for power over the last few months has caused myself and my companions some pain, and I have lost my way. But I've been a hammer of Tempest my whole life. I was born near a temple. It's all I've known. I've known the clanging of shields and swords as my lullabies. It's one of those things I've always been attuned to, and to lose that feels like I've lost a part of my self-identity. It's like losing my teeth or my claws. It's like losing my eyes or my skin. It's part of who I am. So I hope that I look up at Braynor. Just hope that I'm worthy of it.
And he kind of nods slowly and he says, so am I, Orash. If you're to get this consecrated, you'll have perhaps a larger path to walk. but you will have to take the test first. Tempest is not just about your own ability to fight. It's about your ability to hold your people together. These friends of yours, and he looks at Greta and Selsig and River and Fluffball and the box holding Mr. Squeaky Pants, and he says, "Are your friends willing to help you too? In doing so, they might also be helping themselves, I suppose. But either way, if you're going to consecrate that axe, you'll need to face the trial."
I turn to the others.
They must decide on their own. And he kind of looks at each of you. Will you help him with his trial?
I will.
Is this about throwing more halflings?
I won't.
He says, not necessarily.
It sounds
I
like
step forward.
there's a distinct possibility of throwing halflings.
I'll stand with Urash, or on Urash as the case may be. I am, after all, the champion of courage, as chosen by the forest of the name I can't remember right now. Damn it, where was it?
What that I crashed into?
The High Forest, that was it.
Yes, that's right. Of the High Forest, that's right.
I am the champion of courage of the High Forest.
I'd heard you were the ghost of the coast. Is this true? So he nods and he says, "Very well. That says for you and for Greta." I think you said yes, Greta. Did I miss that?
But
Then I want no. Then
no
I.
problem. It's
I'm
fine.
sorry. I thought you said yes at the same time, and I didn't hear.
No,
So then
no,
he
I
would
was
turn to
so-
you next. Then he would turn to you next and be like, "You, from what I understand, you're not of our order, and you're not bound by what we do. But if Urash here is to pass the trials, you'll need to be part of them. Are you willing to be so, even if Tempest is not your god?"
Tempest is not my god, but Urash is my friend. And I step forward.
He nods slowly. "Very well. And you," looks at you, River. "You are a dragonborn, and used to feeling perhaps somewhat different from some around you. Would you help this person?"
He's not a person, he's an orc. But I will help. Yes, yes.
"Are you
I
saying
will
orcs are not people?" He throws over the table. I'm just kidding.
I will help. Yes. Urash is friends.
He nods and he says,
Urash is the most human among us.
"Do you do that moment from Star Trek Wrath of Khan? He was always the most human."
Yeah, but seriously, he's a half human, so he's like the most human among us.
That's probably true, actually. I hadn't thought about that, but and he says, and so for a moment he says that, and then he looks over and he looks down at Fluffball, who's still standing behind Selsig, and so Fluffball does, and then slowly pads forward several steps to stand by Selsig. And you have no idea what Mr. Squeaky Pants does because he's in a box, but, you know, maybe the box hops forward. I don't know. We'll see. And he says, "Very well. This will be dangerous, you understand. Tempest does not operate by simple tests or obstacles." And he sort of pauses and then says, "And come with me." And he brings you all out to sort of past the statue to what looks like a back room. This is a very large circular room, and there are a series of torches around the outside. It reminds you a little bit, actually, of the Oracle room, where you had to deal with the Oracle of the Giants, where it's a little bit like that, except this is a bigger room, much more together. There's no skeletons on the floor. The floor is still stone, and there are these lit torches around the outside of the room on the walls. And he brings you all into it, and he says, "Very well. Urash, I'll need you to stand here." And he points to the center of the circle.
Before I go to the center of the circle, I want to turn to my friends. I want to say, I could not physically, mentally, or spiritually do any of this without you. And you have my entire heart for that. So thank you for this. This will help me immeasurably, and in that, it has just brought me closer to you. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. Thank you. I love you all.
I hold my hand out into the center of the group. Come on, you know what I'm doing.
I hold my hand out.
Greta gives you a short look of seriously, but also holds out her hand. And
I just hug everybody.
I like all three, and then she's like, huh.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Scoop
River just there
everyone
with a
up.
high five. Just like, anyone? Anyone?
Woo! Oh man.
I could never reach there.
A 5.
I high hip Urash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dignified to jump like that. I'll not do it.
So you do that, at which point you then enter the circle or the center, or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And the rest of you, he says, the temple leader says, all right, you, Greta. And he points to the northern side of the room. Stand there, please.
I go to the northern side of the room and stand there.
And then he points to the eastern side and says, Selsig, that's yours.
I move to the eastern side.
And River, and he points to the western side.
I move.
Which leaves him standing in the south, the southern side. And he says, remember, this is a test from Tempest. Remember who and what he is, and who and what you are. And he nods and turns, and the minute he exits the circle, vroom, the lights go out, and there's just a moment of pure darkness. And then there is a single, what almost looks like a spotlight, some kind of magical light that shines down on you in the center, Urash. And then there is a light that shines vroom, on Greta, vroom, on Selsig, vroom, on River. And and I, by the way, Fluffball, I guess technically is with Selsig for this. Like, basically, I'm assuming they're in the same basic area. So, and there is a pause, and then the lights, the sort of torches, slowly light up enough just to be able to see kind of just the sort of fighting surface around you. And you hear from somewhere in the room the voice of the temple leader who says, and so begins the last test. If you wish to be one with Tempest, you must defeat your friends to do it. And there's a pause, and then you see the lights shining on each of you brightens. And he says, you must defeat your 3 companions in combat, or Tempest will not be satisfied, Urash. Are you a follower of Tempest, or a follower of your friends? And then there is a and the door, you hear the sound of a door closing.
Is this really
Also, you're muted.
I'm muted again.
Is this really in accordance to the church laws?
I want to see the handbook.
No, seriously, if this is all legal, we can talk about it, but...
Okay. I take my axe off my back, and because it is a reasonably large axe, I stand it point down in front of me, and I lean both hands on it. So I'm standing almost like a statue. And I say, Tempest's law is fair. Tempest's word is fair. War is also the great equalizer. There is no honor in killing friends or innocent unarmed combatants. I will fight each of you until one of us is disarmed, and that person will yield. If this is not in accordance, then I won't do it.
So there's a moment's pause, and then you hear, now coming from above you, as if the temple leader has gone like upstairs to a room that's looking down, and you hear from upstairs, but Tempest calls upon you to stand alone with your strength. Do you mean you would rather spend your time with your friends than to show your strength in Tempest's eyes?
Tempest does not call on individuals. He calls on leaders and armies. He calls on war. He incites war as the great equalizer. He does not call for people to be strong. Tempest incites courage, not pure strength.
And so there's... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
continue talking. It is strength that yields someone's weapon from killing an unarmed combatant. It is not strength that pits friends against each other.
And there's a pause, and then he says, "So you will not fight them. Would they fight you?" And the light brightens on you, Greta, and goes down for Selsig and River and Arash. That you can still see them, but like your light is clearly the brightest. And he says, "What about you? Would you fight him if need be?"
If he needs me to do it, then I would fight him. But I have no reason to fight him, and I won't from myself.
And there's a pause, and then your light dims, and then it comes up on Selsig. "What of you? You are said to be a shifty type, one who will change his opinions and views as the moment suits him. Your reputation precedes you, they say. Would you fight your friend if there were power in the offing?"
Urash has proven himself time and again to be a true and loyal companion. I know the value of many things, and I cannot put a price on that. I would not fight Urash unless the fate of the world depended on it.
And there's a long pause, and then your light dims, and then the light comes up on you, River, and he says, "And you, River, you owe nothing to these people who found you in the wilderness. What exactly would you do if given the choice? Would you fight, if necessary, your friend here?"
I've never had friends before, and I've never had people who loved me. I would never raise a hand against them, ever, even if the fate of the world depended on it. Plus, you can't disarm me because I'm a mage.
I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to.
It's like, yeah, that would be a problem. Just, yeah.
Right, so put your hands out. Just before, as River finishes speaking, I take my axe and I hold it aloft in front of me, so it's glinting in the light, right?
Right.
And I speak, and I mean, you guys have heard me pray before, right? Not like out loud, but you've heard me like rooms and stuff like that. I pray to Tempest in front of people, that's fine. But I say now, in the clearest and loudest voice I can, I recite his words. I say, "And so he spoke, defend what you believe in, lest it be swept away. Disparage no foe and respect all, for valor blazes in all, regardless of sex, age, or race. Retreat from hopeless fights, but never avoid battle. Slay one foe decisively and halt battle, rather than rely upon slow attrition or the senseless dragging on of hostilities. Remember the dead that fell before you. Consider all of the consequences of the violence of war, the great equalizer, the fairest of all the elements, and do not wage war recklessly." And I look up to where this voice is coming from, and I say, "The smooth tongue and flat of feet that avoid all strife and never defend their beliefs wreak more harm than the most energetic tyrant, raider, or horde leader." And I put my axe back on my back.
So there's a long pause during which the lights of all of you sort of dim, and then and the torches around the room all light up again, and the door opens and in comes the temple leader, and he has a sort of an inscrutable expression on his face, closes the door behind him, and he strides up to you, Urash, and he sort of stares at you. And then he steps back. "Give me the axe."
I give him the axe.
He takes the axe and he holds it. And he says, "Tempest's greatest law is that one will sacrifice oneself in courage and blood and death if need be, to do so for honor. There is no honor in fighting others, and know honor to worship oneself rather than Tempest who dominates all. And he looks around. This is the way of Tempest. And there is, suddenly, you can see above you sort of windows or little, lights beginning to appear above you, and you recognize now that there have been multiple people looking on the second floor from where he was speaking, and they're all surrounding, looking down at you with these, into the center of the room. And all of them have their weapons sort of held out, all of them, most of them cloaked. Actually, I think all of them would be cloaked. And he stands and he says, "Brothers and sisters, will this one become one of Tempest's own? Shall this weapon be consecrated?" And there is this great cry from all of them. "So shall it be, so say we all." And there's a and around the side of the room, almost like a ripple, as these weapons hit the ground. And suddenly, Urash, you see that the runes are glowing fiercely red now. Not just a little red, but fiercely red. And he turns back to you, and he hands it over to you, and he says, "This is a weapon of a warrior, one who will not strike without need, and will not follow false orders out of a desire for power. This is the wisdom of Tempest, to strike, but only to do so in honor." And he hands it to you, and if you take it from him, assuming that you do, when you take it now, this warmth that I mentioned feels like a heat. It is a heat not of an uncomfortable, oh my God, it's going to burn me, but it is a heat of joy. The joyous heat of blood pumping through the body, of the vigor of one's muscles during a swing, of the confidence one feels from leading others, from striding into battle. And as you hold this and see this fiercely glowing rune, he looks at you, the temple leader, and says, "Do you know what the runes say, Urash?"
I don't know.
He says, "This," and he points, there's two runes on it, left and right, and he says, "This stands for courage, and this," and he points to the other one, "companions. These two together are the true word of Tempest. Do not forget it. This axe has been consecrated, and if it is used in dishonor or out of hatred or fear, it will turn against you. So long as you work and wield it in honor, it will strike a deadly blow with the force of our God." And the lights go out on the windows around you so that it's now just, the four of you plus the temple leader standing in the circle. And he steps back and nods and he says, "You have learned, Urash. I had been told that in some ways you would have difficulty being tamed, that you believed in violence above all things. I see that the stories were wrong. You are worthy of that axe."
I bow my head and I say, "I thank you for this. This is I see the axe in my hand, and just the joy I feel from this axe. There's almost a tear running down my face at this point. And I say, with every fight, I will swing in his name. I will bring peace, more peace to the land in his name, because that is his will."
The mechanical benefits of this axe, in case you're curious, you are no longer at a negative to hit. This is a +2 axe. It is a +2 to hit. It will also do +2 to damage. And there is more. Once per day, so that basically means once per long rest, keeping in mind you can only do one long rest a day. Note to DMs, don't let your party get 3 long rests a day. What the hell are you doing? Once per day, you can essentially channel the might of Tempest. And what that means is that you have to have gone berserk during. You have to be like in a rage when this is happening. So, assuming that you are raging when this happens, and you channel the Might of Tempest, what it means is that you can use this to swing. At the time that you do that, for that one attack only, this becomes a +4 axe rather than +2, and it does an extra 1d12 points of magical radiant damage. It cannot be resisted when this happens. Now, that is, as I say, only once per day, and one attack. It's not the whole combat, it's one attack. But, so yeah. That's the mechanical effect of this. And when that happens, the runes glow, by the way. Now, this can only be done when you were raging, and, you know, we'll see what happens if you ever decide to go, like, kicking puppies or beheading children, and if that happens, we'll have to have this discussion again. But assuming that's not what you're going to do, then that's the way this looks. But make sure you mark that down so that I don't forget it either, okay?
Yeah,
so +2 to hit normally, and +2 to damage, but it does an extra, as I say, when you channel the Might of Tempest, +4 to hit, and then it's an extra 1d12 of radiant damage, which cannot be resisted.
Is that also +4 to base damage, and then...
No, that's just +4 to hit, but then is 1d12 extra damage, yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want to accidentally add dice rolls.
Yep. I'm glad you asked me that question. So, Axe of Face Noog, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. And as you sort of like begin to slot the axe back, the runes kind of glow less fiercely now. So...
I clasp my hand on the shoulder of the leader of the temple. I say, Tempest thanks you.
He says, I appreciate that, but it is we who thank you. You will do what must be done to bring some peace to the Sword Coast. It will be your responsibility to bring that down, you and your friends. All of you, you see, had to pass that test. You all did. And he kind of nods to you slowly and then says, now, be on your way. You have enemies to fight and dishonor to strike down.
Now, quick question for the rest of the group. Have you all kind of like gathered around me at this point, or are you still where the dude told you to stand?
I walk up to you and I hit you on the back with my flat hand and say, well, congratulations, I guess you're a cleric now.
He's like, what? Rips the axe out of your hand. Get out of here.
I walk over.
I'm not. Yeah, I follow them over because I'm kind of rooted to the spotlight, assuming the fact that we haven't been killed was probably a good thing up to this. It's like, did I choose well? I think I chose well. They're going over. I probably chose well.
You're like, was that right? Like, I have this image of you with your eyes closed. Like, is that okay? Like, we're all right? We're not dead? Okay.
I'm just standing there going, please don't make me have to attack him.
Yeah.
I'd be worried if Celsig and Urash got into a fight. I'd be worried about Urash. The amount of damage Celsig can deal is. I mean, I have to hit you for a start.
Yeah, my problem starts when you hit me, but you have to hit me.
Stick and I explode. Yeah, so Greta was the first person who walked up and slapped her on the back of the head with her hand. Totally fine with that. But I give her literally the biggest hug I've ever given anyone in my life. And then when Celsig and River come over separately, I give them the biggest hug I've ever given anyone in my life. So collectively, we're all having a big group hug.
Yep.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
No, you're crying. They're happy tears. They're happy tears. And I kind of disengage from the hug and I say, well, I feel much better. I don't know about anybody else, but I am ready to save the world.
Any day you don't have to stab your friends is a good day.
I've always found that. I mean, launching a horse, that's okay, but try not to kill your loved ones. That's fine. It's a general rule in life. So, do we go kill a dragon?
But if we're working up to that, it's got to be close.
I'm feeling pumped right now. I'm not gonna lie. I could literally take on the world right now.
I feel like we should kill the dragon when the dragon's not a dragon. I feel like that might make it a little easier.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I wonder what the laws of the giants are for such a case. Like, what are you allowed to do with a treacherous dragon at the court? Let's go and find out.
I've got to admit, if they actually have a law for the eventuality that a giant turns out to be a dragon in disguise, I'm going to have to question how often this happens.
Well, they're really old race, who knows? So
In the event of dragon infiltration.
They could be like, please use the dragonometer. To find out.
Oh, damn again!
I hate that thing.
Well, we've only changed the fact.
maybe we have to check on like a dragon color chart first, like one of those you use to paint the walls. Like, what kind of dragon do we have here? Does this law apply?
We hold up this little chart of bubbles, and if they see a number, they're a dragon.
Yes, that's exactly how it works. It's like magic eye pictures. All the little Rorschach tests. So you hold up an ink blot, and giants just go, "Oh, it's a mountain," and dragons go, "It's a burning village."
I do not want to be reminded of that. Okay.
No one's reminded of that.
Which time?
Anyway,
Too early.
Too soon. Priest, I'm just like, we're fine. We're good people. We're leaving.
The priest is just kind of like, well, like he looks down like this, and Fluffball's like,
thanks for the.
Like that's basically all they do.
Don't look at me, dude. They just bought me.
Yeah. Nice. See you later. Bye.
Oh man. Okay, so you're all departing the temple?
Yeah.
All right, this is a good moment for me to stop for just a moment and welcome everybody who's watching, as usual, in an awesome session. Episode 250 of Pen and Pixels, D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am your host and DM, Arvin Eleron. I am joined, as always, on these sessions by Pyron Jade, by Darksaber2K, by Mike Smith, Peripheral Mike, and by Tasty Chai. And if you like what you see here, please follow the channel. Please sub to us here on GOG.com. And please spread the word about the show. Let other people know about it. And check out these folks' individual channels / doings here, there, and everywhere on the internets as well. If you want more of this good and wholesome friendship combat, content, if you want more of that, this is where you can get it. But thank you all for being with us, chat. Okay, so when you leave the temple, you now have a decision to make, which is where to next.
For how many days and nights have we paid for our ponies in the stable?
I would say probably about 3 days and nights, and you've probably almost used those up because you had to leave and then come back here. So I would say, yeah.
Then that's a thing we need to do before going to the Maelstrom, I guess. You always have to pay your bills.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we could try and get a couple more gods on our side. I'd certainly feel happier.
Hey, we could do the rounds. How many more temples are in there?
To be fair, I'm not overly up on how you impress most of the gods. Mine just likes me being lucky, which I think I've more than fulfilled.
I'm just like, hang on, you have a god?
That's how I'm feeling. I didn't even. How many are there?
It's best not to talk about it too much. The more you invoke her, the worse things tend to go.
I just turn to River. I'm like, there's loads. There's absolutely loads. It's like a
So
crowd.
you have a secret god, and that I have to admit it doesn't surprise me.
It's not a secret. It's just, as with most things with her, it's best not to push your luck.
You know it's a her.
What do you specifically? You mean when you say it's best not to push your luck, because you seem to like to push the luck a little bit.
Because she likes that, but it's a risk-reward type situation. Remember when I cut my finger off?
Yes, I do. That was kind of
yeah. She was teaching me a lesson. Generally, I mean, over the last couple of years, I think I've she doesn't speak in direct terms, certainly not to the degree that Foltest seems to you, but she's certainly made it clear that doing what I like to do for personal gain is becoming disfavored. She seems to be pushing more for a greater good kind of thing.
Well,
so I'm not necessarily sure trying to invoke her favor would benefit us, but if we need her, she may put her thumb on the scale.
Well, I guess that's good to know, but I suppose it depends on which side of the scale.
So I think generally it's our side, but she might not when we need it. It's definitely one of those sorts of things.
No, it's
Again,
not-
lost a finger.
Worship her.
I just like, man, you gotta get praying.
I feel like kind of you're bringing a really dangerous god along, and I'm not sure I feel that's a good idea.
Hey, she managed to trick humans into worshipping her, so what can I say?
You're not.
And you, in my experience, they are pretty gullible.
I'm so.
Oh, that is really true.
50% of me is entirely gullible.
Maybe a bit more than that. Anyway.
Humans just cause so
Wait,
much trouble. It's amazing that there's so many of them still around.
Like rabbits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I have to admit I don't feel like going to church today, so let's just get our horses and my pony and...
We already went to your church the other day, so it's fine.
Well, I don't think we can do much more to make Foltus happy with us.
Several priests in the crowd. What? You don't want to go to church today, have you, Josh? I heard that she doesn't want to go. All your power leaves you. Like, oh no.
Excommunicated.
Damn it. Okay. Okay, so have you made a decision on where you're going to go?
Go pay Pony Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, that one I'm not going to play out. That one you can definitely do. It depends on how long you want them to stay in this same spot.
On how much money you have.
Do they accept the casino coins? I mean, it was the city with the casino chip, so maybe...
I'll tell you what.
They're like not. They like to sort of. If you want to try, they just sort of stare at it like.
No, Tribal was the casino city. We're in Neverwinter.
Yes,
Yep.
but the horses are on Tribor, aren't they?
Oh, you want to go back to? Oh, right. You want to go back to Tribor.
Oh, I
So-
We
see.
need to go back to Tribor and pay for the horses because they're there. I'm pretty sure they are on Tribor.
So you would need to teleport back to Yartar, and then basically hoof it or walk it, I guess in this case, to Tribor, where you would then pay for the horses.
Well, it's the only way of doing it, isn't it?
Could we send somebody to do this for us?
Yeah, are there messengers, perhaps?
Could we
Yeah,
send a
like
run?
trustworthy people who run around with other people's money.
I was gonna say, I mean, like, listen, you could just do the equivalent of, Uber Horse Eats or something. You could definitely do something like that. Yeah, you could certainly hire someone. The question of how much you trust them depends on, what you're willing to pay up front, because there is obviously a fee associated with all of this.
We maybe just say that we have done this and then say that we've come back to Neverwinter for the sake of, to the interest of time.
Oh, so that you went and did this at Tribor first before coming back?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's okay with me. I mean, it means that we're changing a little bit about the direction of order of affairs, but that's fine. I think so.
That
That
would
just
be good.
means that you would then get back a little later.
It seems,
but,
I mean, that's the sort of thing that we would have done at the time anyway. Like we would have gone, well, we're not going to be back for a while, so
Right,
we may
yeah,
have
yeah.
to pay up a bit.
That's
So
fine.
Then we can just directly now go to Maelstrom because everything has been taken care of.
It means that it means now that Breanor is not there with your actual axe, and all of what you just did is useless, and now you have a toothpick to fight with and all that. But yes, no, that's fine.
I would pay to see him fight with toothpicks. It would
Eh,
I'd
eh.
buy one for anything.
Oh man.
Deadly with a teacup.
Okay. So yes, that's fine. So you're planning now on getting, and by the way, it's not Nerissa, it's Sarissa, which we should all make clear. And
Yep.
so you want to head back to there? He said, question mark.
I think so, yeah. I think we decided we were going to go to Maelstrom. We were going to basically go, hey, good news, bad news. Good news, can resurrect your mum. Bad news, we think there's some sort of Order of the Kraken that's got Hekaton and
Oh,
a
yes.
prison ship, and we don't know what that is. Oh, by the way, you advised the dragon.
Possible revision to that order of events.
Mhm.
What if we re-resurrected the mum first?
That's a good shout.
She may have knowledge to back up our order of events that may have more authority coming from the Queen of the Giants.
Yes,
Absolutely.
but it's like if we like we're gonna resurrect her first, and then she's like telling a story, and we're like, this is exactly what we would have told you. This is really like, so maybe we tell our story first, and then she confirms it.
But
Not-
what if we say we could bring your mum back, and they go no, but she's also the only one who could back us up? We've got no proof. The only proof we've got is from the person who was killed by the person we're hunting.
Yeah.
I'm
So
definitely on team.
Wasn't it like his octopus who killed him mentally or something?
no, it was
Prove it.
something killed him mentally. It was some sort of psychic attack.
I didn't trust the octopus from the get-go.
Well, I don't think anyone really did. You know, it's always the octopus.
I think River wanted to keep it.
I'm surprised River hasn't got
You
it.
got a rat.
on this.
It's fine.
I tried to get it, but it exploded.
Yeah.
I will introduce you to calamari to make up for this.
Woo!
I think we should go back to Maelstrom, see if we can get Sarissa. Please tell me I got that name right. Sarissa.
Yes, that's right. Sarissa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. For Sarissa on her own to try and give her the information that we have, in the understanding that we know we don't have any proof yet, but this investigation is still ongoing. However, we know that resurrecting her mother will have been of prime importance, which is why we have come back in the first place. Let's go do the ritual, and she can tell you what she remembers. And then, if anything matches up, that then lends credence to our claims. If it doesn't, then what have they lost? She's got her mother back, and then we just toddle off and do what we were doing. We're like, well, we're going to carry on doing what we're doing. We've swung back to resurrect someone, as you do as adventurers.
And we've got these, and I hold up the tokens.
Yeah.
We have several other copies of a thing that was found by her body.
I am on Team Resurrect Mom. Yes. I think that is a good plan.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go to Maelstrom and resurrect a queen.
Cool.
Long live the queen.
Okay.
I'm just like,
Go necromancy! Am I saying that right?
I think that's it. I definitely think that's it.
Are we sure it's not? Because it still feels like it.
It feels
Well,
proper.
it is technically.
I knew it!
You know, this is currently not making my day any easier. Let's go to Maelstrom.
Or Russia just like, it's the good kind of necromancy, not the kind of necromancy.
I was nearly stabbed to death by a group of skeletons. It's hard to see any other type.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it counts because we don't control her. We just wake her up.
I turn to Greta, I'm like, we don't control her, do we?
No.
We do just wake her
So
up.
what if she sort of lurches in the direction of the nearest human settlement?
Yeah, exactly.
This is not
Like,
gonna
yeah.
happen. This is a good scroll. This
That's
is
a
a
legit scroll.
quality good scroll, okay?
Because I'm a little concerned about the
I've
person-
sold a few quality good items in my time.
We're not making giant zombies, I promise.
Okay. Well, on your head be it, so to speak. Yeah.
Our
It will be if he steps on her.
just in case.
You do
Sorry.
what? Sorry.
Are giant zombies flammable just in case?
Probably.
Everything is flammable.
I was gonna say, Greta's pretty much demonstrated most things are.
I mean,
It
she
just
said-
depends on the temperature, but everything is flammable in the end.
Then it's
just
fair.
a
Then
mess.
it's okay. If this is a not so perfectly good holy scroll, then we will solve the problem and it'll be
I
fine.
think probably not lead with this might work.
No,
Also,
this
the
is
giants might not be happy with us resurrecting their queen and then setting her on fire, and then us going, she was evil on it.
That's the order of events too. Huh?
We're overthinking
It's like,
this.
God damn it!
I'm reasonably certain I've seen this episode of Rick and Morty.
We're overthinking this. We're going there. The scroll will work perfectly fine, and everything will work out in our way for once, without
Good.
setting things on fire, without even illegally threatening people to set things on fire.
Mm.
And then I really hope that the giants have an idea of how to find a boat.
Okay, cool. So I reckon we go somewhere quiet and use this conch of teleportation, which one of us still has. I think it might be me. I'm not sure. To get back to Maelstrom. Actually, I just lean over to Greg. I'm like, "See, you've done this before, right?"
No.
Like, oh, great. Okay, cool.
We're gonna die.
It's gonna reading a scroll. I can read. It's not gonna be so difficult. Just
I don't know how scrolls work.
I've read
Oh, no,
things
I
that
scroll
don't
them.
hurt.
you unscroll them
I
and then
am
you read
know
them.
how scrolls work.
Is it as simple as reading them, or is there like
I
a
know
full-
how scrolls work.
Like, do you need to be like Leviosa or
Wait, you
Leviosa?
do?
Like, is that important?
I just dodged the magic missiles that that River just casts randomly.
Duck, 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 duck.
Just go there now. I mean, seriously. Now you're as soon as you're a cleric, you want to talk into my scroll business here. Can we just go?
I can't even read, so yeah, that's fine.
Chat is like, there's a 16 in D20 chance of this working. Everyone's like, so much optimism. It's how the giant zombie apocalypse got started.
You unscroll the resurrection scroll. Roll a D20. Oh crap!
Turns out it's the other resurrection scroll. Oh man,
we've resurrected the queen. Brains.
The queen of the dragons. No, god damn it.
Undead queen.
Oh man. All right. Good night, Magic Sky Shark.
Okay, cool. Maelstrom, right?
You do have the inspiration. That's right. Yes, so Maelstrom. So, okay. So you're going to a quiet place to be able to do this. Now,
causing ruckus.
Yeah, like, all right, everyone. We want to say goodbye to everyone. We're going now to the Maelstrom under the sea. Thank you all for being here. God bless you all, and
maybe sometime. Bye.
God protect our troops. Okay, so you go to a relatively quiet area. Of course, the funny thing is that when you actually use it to go down to the area, the blowing the conch itself is not particularly quiet, to be clear. So when you're like, all right, okay, good, you play it, it's like this, like this huge noise, just like echoes everywhere, and you feel that strange sensation of being like almost compressed, and then and you find yourself immediately back at Maelstrom, with this, again, sort of overwhelming sense of pressure that is underneath. So let me pop up here some appropriate music for this. Let's see, give me some of that. And let's go with, no, I don't want Lively Cafe. I want this.
I don't know, maybe they were in a side business. I mean, times are tough in the Maelstrom, right? They're just like,
true.
oh, sorry, you've come in the cafe entrance.
I didn't see much of a business at all while I was there. Unless there was a business in lies.
Business in lies.
Business in lies, okay.
Salt water.
Let's see, I think that you folks come in. Let me just make sure which level you come in on.
Salt water and tent.
I want to say it's level 1. I think it's level 1. All right, and excuse me. All right, let me just bring over the player list to that as well. There we are. You all should now be over there, and you appear here on this teleportation circle. Okay. So, when you arrive, for those of you who do not fully recall, what are you doing, Mike? I just saw you like moving them around, like around the alcove. Yes.
He's just knocking around.
Thank you very much, my love, and I love the
Boing, boing, boing.
rainbow mustache. That's very awesome.
Mustache. Excellent.
Not in class. I've been brought my dinner. Okay, let's see. I turn back to see Pyron Jades. I used to eat the yogurt treats of my rodents. I'm like, all right, well, I see that's how these things are, and that's fine. Okay, where the devil is this thing on the map? There it is, number 2 here. Right. So, when you arrive, there is this. You appear on top of this glowing glyph that is carved into the floor of an alcove in the northeast corner of this rough-hewn chamber. And the walls here, you might remember, were covered with bioluminescent lichen and snails and starfish and barnacles, and there are little crabs crawling along the floor as well. And so there's that. Now, the first time you teleported here, you heard this music coming from upstairs, singing and accompanied by an organ. But that was not actually, that's what you heard at the time. It turned out to be the 2 sisters who were singing, but you do not hear that this time. Instead, there is just kind of this somewhat eerie silence. There is no other guards in the room at the moment. And the crabs may have been eaten by River, yes.
Okay. Let's all try to look our best and move up to meet Sarissa.
I brush my loincloth off.
Might be good to have an escape plan.
We run.
Where to? We're underwater, apparently.
Excellent point. I don't know.
River, can't you make us breathe underwater?
Better breathing. We can run.
Okay, so we jump into the pool, and Celtic, you found a little tunnel in the pool last time, right?
Zorash, I think, but yeah.
Was it Urash? Okay, somebody dove down. Down.
How did we get out last time? Did we use the teleportation conch to get out as well as in?
Mm-hmm.
Or
They teleported us out somehow with a glyph.
teleport us out? Or did we use...
Yes.
Well, you always teleport in and out on that glyph. I don't remember if they teleported you out or if you used the
Because it was Sarissa who was...
They teleported us out because they teleported us to where the queen had been killed.
That's right.
or The queen's body had
teleported
been
us.
found, rather. I played too much LA Noire to do that sort of thing. It's like, no, the body was found there. That's
Right.
not the same as the murder scene.
Yep, that's right. Yes.
Okay, let's move up the stairs.
Yep, I agree.
Are you trying to move, by the way, stealthily or
No, I
confidently?
never tried to move stealthily. What kind of question is that?
Confidently.
You have, it doesn't end well.
Hey, up there! You know, that type of thing.
I mean, we're at least semi-expected at some point, right?
Presumably.
They gave us the conch to come back. They might assume that we might come back because they gave us the conch to come back.
Well, they didn't take it off us. We'd already stolen that. I mean,
no, they recalibrated
reacquired
it,
them.
I think.
Ah,
Didn't they
okay.
Recalibrate it somehow?
I think they gave us the conch, or they said we could keep the conch in order to come back.
Well,
We find us keepers did.
No, they knew we had it. They said we could use it. Like we may have taken it in the first place, but they were like, "Oh, you got a teleportation conch. Cool, keep that on you. It's handy." I'm reasonably certain that's their exact words.
Yeah,
If
yes,
we weren't supposed to have it, they would have taken it.
that's a direct quote. Yes, exactly. Oh, cool. That's a good thing to have.
Free candy, yeah, cool. Like those. We don't mind those.
So you are just moving up to 14 moving up
not.
these stairs. Okay.
But I'm also not going first, so I don't know if Celtic is going first and is being stealthy, or we're all.
It might be a good idea for me to just stick a head around the corner in case I see someone getting stabbed or something that we might not be supposed to see.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you to make a stealth check for me, please, Celsi.
Okay. Hang on, pull up the character sheet. And where's my check? There we go. 19.
Okay. So, as you make your way up the stairs fairly quietly, as is your wont, you discover this. So, you come out here on the other side, and you can see standing. Let's see, we're going to move that out of the way. And where's my thing over there?
Was
Let's see.
how many months ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago. So let's see. Okay, give me 1 second here. So, okay.
I can't move my token.
Right. So let me. Oh yes, interesting.
I can. Bye, suckers.
Okay, now you should be able to control it.
Hey, there we go. Boing,
Yeah, and I will
boing.
control. Let's see. And Pyron, you should now have control over Greta. And River, I think you have control over that token already. Oops. And you do have control over yours already, right, Saber? You have over yours?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay. When you come in here, now you remember that the throne room is to the south. But the only thing that you see here when you first enter is one person, a large person, by which I mean a giant, sitting at this crab organ. And you may remember that there was this crab organ that was basically like this. Actually, no, that is right. This crab organ that basically you played with these like little pipes on the top. I think I showed you all a picture of that. It looks something like, I think I have it.
It was one of the most morbidly fascinating things I've ever seen in D&D.
Yeah, it's very weird. I agree.
It took my brain a good few seconds when you showed us that picture to realize what exactly was going on.
Yep.
And for it to accept that it was a real thing. But basically, this person was playing the crab.
Yep. That's right. Basically playing the crab. Let's see if I have this here in this spot. I love also my name's Ninja Move List. Robot. Nope. Way of the Tiger map. Nope. Vaporum Lockdown. Nope. Okay. Let me pull that up actually because it'll be...
Did you just say porn lockdown?
No, Vaporum Lockdown. I guess they pronounce it Vaporum, which I just think is weird. Okay. Here's that. Here's that. There we go. I found it. Let's find that. Okay. So... Okay. So, let me show you all that, now that I've pulled that up. Which I am calling crab organ. That's how this rolls. Okay, there we go. Now you should all be able to see that on stream.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep. So now you do not
Yeah,
see
she was hitting the crab, and the crab was doing toot, right?
Right, exactly. So now the giant. So this was originally, you see neither Mirren or Nim, who are her two sisters. Neither Mirren nor Nim are here right now, but that crab organ is just there. And there is one person who's just sort of sitting there moodily kind of plucking away at the, like burr, 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 just like hitting a couple of random notes every so often. And you can see that their back is turned so far. It is some cloud giant, some storm giant rather. It's not clear which storm giant, Celsig, you can see, but it's some storm giant which is facing away from you, just seated at the organ. There's nothing else that you can see there, but you do know that the throne room where you last spoke with Sarissa was to the south, down there.
There's someone at the... I'll turn around too. I assume they're just behind me on the stairs.
I would have guessed so, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just sort of... Well, there's someone up there on the crab. Don't know which one. I mean, the back of a storm giant's much the same as any other at this distance.
Okay. I also come up the stairs and try to recognize the storm giant from behind.
Okay, trying to do so quietly or not? Now that you know what Celsi just said or not.
I will appear to be doing things quietly. If yes, I'll try to join in. If not, I'll just stomp up the stairs and stare.
Seems like Celsic is trying to be quiet. So if you wish to join him in that affair, then I will need you to roll the stealth check for me.
Just FYI, the stream is still has the crab organ image.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just showing, but thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
a 3.
I'll now reduce that a bit. Whoops, mirrored. Okay, so you're just like, I'll try to be quiet. Clash, boom, ding, bing. As stealthy as the opening to Batman. Da-na-na-na-na, bam, whip. Okay, so you are not quiet when you come up behind him. Let's see whether or not actually the person.
But I still make the appropriate movements, like I'm doing like.
Yeah, exactly. You're being super cool. Like,
clonk, clonk.
be quiet. Kick, bang. You're like, got it. Okay. So. Wow, really? Okay, hold on. Now I have to check some stats. So you had a total of 3? Is that what you said?
I cannot unmute myself. Yes, I got a 3.
So, in an example of how sometimes, as Celsig told us, fate works in your direction, the person in question somehow rolled lower than that roll. A 2 plus benefit did not allow them to. So somehow, this person at the organ does not hear you.
I am so stealthy. I'm surprising myself.
I mean, Celsig, you hear her all the way up the stairs, but like apparently just like, what? But
you also see that she's like trying to make the proper stealth move.
Greta comes around the corner and I'm just there like this.
I'm still like doing like all the, you know, like the Pink Panther movement.
Right, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Yeah.
Well, you tried.
It's the trying that counts.
It's the thought that counts.
The giant didn't hear me, right? So I did fine.
So you now see this person as well, Greta.
Yeah.
Would be a deaf giant.
Then it wouldn't be playing the crap organ. Okay, anyway.
I mean, it's not playing it very well.
Okay, maybe it would, but still, I'll now stare at the back of the giant and try to recognize which giant it is. Maybe it's a giant I've seen before.
Okay, let's see. What kind of a check do I ask for?
That's actually a good idea then, Chad. All of my, like, loud steps were actually in time with the notes the giant was playing.
Yeah, right. The picking it out. Dun, dun, dun. You're like, did, like, that's how it went. So make a history check for me, please.
That must be an old giant. 10.
You're like, that is definitely a giant. No question about it. There's a giant them there playing that organ, and I've seen giants, and that is definitely a giant. Probably a storm giant.
Okay. No clue who that is.
I didn't think I would. So it's the back of a giant. I don't have a lot of experience looking at the backs of giants.
Shall we try to go through the throne room and just ignore the mystery giant?
Would it be better if we just announced ourselves, or if we were caught sneaking in?
Well, you know how I am. I am all for being like open and announcing ourselves, most likely with our full names. But
Well, we're not known here, and we're sort of expected here.
yeah. But why is nobody here? There were guards here.
Well, we didn't say we
Guards.
were coming.
But the guards shouldn't leave just because like, oh, I don't think the adventurers will come today. Can I?
Well, who
can
do
I
the
see
guards guard? Do they guard the room, or do they guard the person?
I don't know how that works. I never had guards.
I don't have much to do with them myself if I can avoid it.
Okay, how about we don't sneak, but we just quietly walk over to the throne room, like we belong.
Could ask them for directions.
We know where the throne room is.
Yeah.
At this point, are the other two...
I looked down the stairs and motioned to Urash and River to come up.
Okay, so I was gonna...
I'm just like, hey guys, what's going on?
Okay, are either of the two of you trying to stealthily make your way up in the way that Greta just showed you?
I do it exactly like Greta.
Sure. Go ahead and make a check. At double, triple disadvantage. I'm just kidding. No, just exactly like Greta. No.
I just paused.
Like how Greta... Yeah, exactly like Greta.
Why are we pretending? I'm sure Urash will put this together in a moment.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it
7.
exactly like Greta. Movements and everything.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. So as you come up, you're like, all right, I'm doing the job. I'm doing the thing. And then you're just like, okay, now I just come over here. Oh, wait, don't. And suddenly, Mr. Squeaky Pants, the box sort of slides out of the bag and hits, and there's a squeak, which like echoes throughout the room. Squeak, 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 squeak. And the giant at the organ turns around.
Okay, who
Dive
is it?
down.
Do you recognize them now?
You do. As the giant stands up, you recognize it as the giant which identified herself as Imrith. And Imrith walks across and says, Oh, need my echo machine. Hold on, echo machine.
Oh, for Falter's sake.
I need you here. Okay, here we go. And she says, "So, I'd been told you might be making a return. It's good to see that you've, survived. I wasn't at all sure that you'd be able to. What exactly are you doing back here so soon?"
Still doing the survival thing.
Survived what?
And she says, "It's dangerous out there for the little people. Haven't you noticed? It's especially dangerous for the little people who lie." She's now at the shells, by the way.
Mike, your camera, there was a countdown and your camera went off.
Yep, sorry about
Oh,
Yay! No
pardon me, I
gratitude.
need to change everyone's window.
that. Sorry about
Well, I take issue with her saying that it's dangerous for little people who lie because we are neither little nor lie. So therefore, it must be perfectly safe for us. Logic.
Survived what?
Survived what?
We went on a boat ride.
It was a good
That's
book.
true. That's very
I mean,
true.
okay, we had Greta with us and it was a wooden boat, granted. But
But it was still fine.
There was an evil octopus, though.
And she says,
He was fine too.
she comes over a little bit closer and she says, "Yes, you really impressed, Queen Sarissa. You really impressed some of the court as well. It's unfortunate how much all of what you said was a lie, designed to show that I was somehow dangerous to the Queen. I am displeased that you decided to take this act, and I wonder what to do about that."
sorry, can I ask a question?
And she kind of pauses.
Who are you again?
And she sort of like,
I
you can
think
see
she
her
was the
jaw
granny.
set.
Wow.
And she says,
Burned unit.
"You're all about jokes, aren't you, little one?"
No, I genuinely don't remember who you are. Were you the princess or the niece or the cousin or I don't know?
I think she was the nanny.
And
The
she
nanny.
says,
Ah,
I
yes,
w-
the nanny.
I
Yes,
am
the
an ad-
nursemaid. I remember now.
"I am an advisor to Queen Sarissa, whom you accused of terrible things while you were here last. And
I didn't
now-
remember accusing her of anything.
Did.
I think that was what I did, but we still knew. I mean, it's really nice that you're monologuing here with us, but we need to go.
And she says, and so you start to make your way, and she's like, "Oh, I wouldn't," and she steps in front of you. "I wouldn't think of making you late. It's important
slip
that
through
you
her
be
legs.
there to speak." Well, are you going to try? Because she's going to try to stop
Yes. I'm very small.
you. Okay, let's see. Excuse me, I'm going to turn off my echo machine.
Also, you just stepped into my way, so
Let's see. I'm going to ask you to make a dexterity check for me, please. So you can use acrobatics if you want.
Okay. Any benefit for being very, very small compared to everybody else?
No.
Okay.
But
but there are like two size differences between them.
oh yes, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she reaches down and like tries to close her legs and reaches down, and you just zip. So you're now on the other side, and she turns around and she says, "I suggest you come back here if I were you. You wouldn't want anything to happen to your friends, would you?"
I keep walking.
I would like to move to the other side of the room.
Okay.
He has her back to me. I'll try to go around her now.
Okay, so go ahead, Celsik, and move where you actually are in the room as you see it.
Okay, hang on. So where was she in relation to us then? Because I would be heading for the door to the throne room over here. So she's
Oh,
about
I want
here.
to
is she?
revise my action.
So I'd be heading over this way.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much through her legs. Yeah, okay. So, okay, so you're headed down that way, and she turns around, and faces you, and then she says, "I gave you the opportunity. I gave you the chance of joining me willingly, but you have elected the way of pain." No, she doesn't say that. She just says, "I gave you an opportunity. You should be aware of that." And she starts to step towards you.
Towards whom is it exactly now?
Towards Celsik. She's facing him.
I continue to move
Okay.
around.
I
Hang on,
hold
I'm
my
looking something
action.
up.
What are you gonna do,
Is
Greta?
Is this something I've played too many other role-playing things lately? I hold my action. Is this a thing I can do in D&D?
You can, although we're not in initiative yet, so there's no action necessarily to hold
Okay,
quite yet.
so she turns to Salsik and takes a step forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm behind her. I also take a step forward.
Okay.
And if I have time, I put on my gloves.
Okay. And Celsig, what are you doing?
Evaluate my options right now. If
Okay.
River
Questioning
wants
my
to go.
life choices, right? Okay.
Well, often, but
Okay, because the question is because this is not initiative. So if you're the question is, are you can just continue to move at the same pace? Or you're going to break into a little bit of a run, that sort of thing.
I speed up a little bit, but not a run, more like a totter. Like a toddler speeding up, like...
Okay. Okay. So she does the same thing. Greta, I assume you do the same thing behind her.
Yes.
So
yes.
you see this
And
dance
I'm
happening.
not being stealthy at all. She should hear me stomping behind her.
Oh yeah, it's true. She doesn't seem to be paying attention to you at the moment. River, what about you? What are you doing?
I'm sort of lagging behind just a bit, but still within spell shot. So I'm watching. Also, can I like stare really hard to see if she's a dragon? Or is that just like not even a thing?
Sure. I mean, you could definitely stare really hard, and make a belief in your mind that that's the case. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
This works.
No, she's wearing a pretty dress. Though.
Yeah, pretty dressed. Probably a giant. Definitely. Okay. So you're making your way, and then Urashi, I know you said you're moving around the room. To where eventually are you headed?
So my actual strategy is to move around here. If you can see that freehand.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to know is when I'm at this point, what can I see in this room?
Ah. Okay, when you get to that point.
And I'm now trying to remove all of the stuff I've just written on the map. Sorry.
Again, please never mind the numbers.
Yep.
Okay.
Are they like notes for the book?
I'm sorry?
I wonder what the numbers actually mean. Do they reference something in the book?
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's how many giants are in each room. So there's 28.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Level that room.
So you can see in here, just from the door, that there are two very large mussel shell tables. And you can see what looks like steam rising from a pool of bubbling hot water.
Okay. I continue to move around this shell.
Okay. All right. So, Celsig, you're moving in a faster pace, which means that you're probably going to get I guess like because you're continuing to head down here regardless, right?
I'm heading towards there. I also have an action I would like to take.
All right.
I would like to cast Minor Illusion to project my voice at the loudest possible volume, presenting the ghost from the coast, Celsig Mauer.
Okay.
And then a crowd.
Yeah, you hear the music from the Nick's introduction. Celsig Mar weighing in at 3'9"
with a steel chair.
At point guard. All right. So Roderick will topple over Ghost of the Coast one day. Okay. So you do that, and there's this immediate like, and the two marching out of the room. You see two of these hill giants. Now you may remember that there were these two hill giant guards that were basically right near them before, and that they were like, and when they see you, like, oh, you've been here before, and they see Imrith, and then they kind of are like, oh, what's wrong? So Celsig, you're probably about here at this point, and Imrith is here, and they say, so one of them says, what's wrong? And she says, stop him, you idiots, he's trying to see the queen. And they all look at you, they both look at you. The queen?
using minor illusion to make my voice as loud as possible so it gets through to them. Yes, the Queen is expecting us.
And they sort of look uncertainly at you and then uncertainly at the Queen, as uncertainly at Imrith, and Imrith says, "Oh, they're lying, you fools. I'm telling you, I'm ordering you to arrest them." And the two giants, so they clearly have been left behind at "Hey, you." You know, they're just kind of like, sort of staring at each other and then back at you.
It's us again. We're here for an audience, like last time. We're doing the same thing again. It was good last time, it's good this time.
They're trying to get to the Queen to hurt her. Can't you see that?
I hold my hands up to show that I have no weapons.
I also have no weapons, I just have gloves.
Ask Queen, see us. I say using minor illusion again.
Make a persuasion check for me, please, Elsig.
Ooh, that might be tricky.
You got
That
this.
will be tricky.
You got this.
Hey.
I'll take that.
All right.
I
So the two of them like look at each other and look back at you, and then are like, Queen said, to let people in most of the time." And the other one nods, yeah, most of the time. "Sorry." And they kind of back off, and Imrith looks as if she's eaten a bug. She looks very, she's just like really.
I look over my shoulder at Irith and just go, and walk on.
So she's like, just steaming practically coming after you, which brings you into the room. Now this time, you may remember the last time you were in this throne room, there were a bunch of different giants here, like ambassadors from the different giants and so forth. But this time you actually can see that there are only a couple that are here. There is, first of all, Sarissa herself, who is sitting here against them. And then there is also Uthor. Uthor is give me just a second while I find the references to Uthor. Where did I put Uthor? Okay. So Uthor is the uncle of Sarissa, and basically responsible for serving her, you may remember. So this is her, Sarissa, sitting on the throne, and then her uncle is next to her. And as they see you emerge through the door, like right about here, both of them stand up, and sort of in astonishment, it looks like. And Uthor takes a few steps forward. "You've come back. Let him pass through." And you see Imrith. "My lord, I've told them not to admit him. He can't be trusted, this one." And he says, "Silence. You know what your charge has ordered. Sarissa is in charge and wishes to see them. But you don't understand." And she's saying all this while you're like walking around the curved little wall, in front of you, and while you're walking towards them, Selsig. So Imrith is still arguing as she comes into the room behind you. So go ahead, Selsig. You can put yourself down somewhere around here, wherever you like. And then Urash and Greta and River, are you following like quickly, like sort of like, yeah, exactly, we're here, type of thing?
Yeah. Yes, very quickly. Nobody wants to leave the Queen waiting, right?
Okay, so they're there, and Imrith is sort of here on the side of the steps, looking like she's ready to spit nails. She looks very like, angry. And Sarissa sees you and says, "It has not been long since you left. Only a few days, I suppose, though perhaps that's more for the mortal creatures. What have you found? Why have you returned?"
So we have good news and bad news.
Okay, she kind of nods and waits.
Well, the good news being we may be able to resurrect your mother. The bad news being we haven't exactly finished the investigation yet.
We have confirmed that the token, and I hold it up, found by your mother's body matches these tokens. I hold out the handful that I was not allowed to catch in, which actually seems like a good thing at this point. Matches these tokens we found in a town to the east. And I believe my colleagues interrogated the owner of the casino that these tokens came from and came to some conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
Yes. So the owner of the casino, which was on a boat, who was ironically named Dryland, is he was part of an order called Order of the Kraken. We didn't know much about it, but apparently they were hired or were told to kill your mother.
Before you go on, I'm sorry, let me turn off the... Before you go on, let me echo further. Before you go on, who are you looking at? You're looking, I assume it's Sarissa. Is
Yes.
everyone in the party looking at Sarissa
No.
while this is going on? Okay, so where are people looking?
So
I'm watching Imrith.
Yeah, I am about here. Actually, if I'm being honest, I probably didn't leave here.
Okay.
So I'm assuming these are stone steps, right?
Yes.
Big ass stone steps. So
Yes.
I'm here, but I'm not too close to Sarissa and Uncle, and I'm not too far away from the door.
Okay.
I will stand by Greta, but I'm watching Imrith.
Yeah, and I can't really turn my character, but I'm kind of looking in this general direction.
Okay. So most people are looking towards Imrith.
So I'm looking at Theresa, and maybe like with a side look at her uncle from time to time, just because they're my audience.
Right. So I would like everybody then to make an insight check, please.
Inside.
Interesting.
I've forgotten how to make checks. There we go.
20.
How do
Oh!
Wow.
Natural 20.
The purest of insight.
You
then-
sense that Imrith is evil.
River and Urash both at 11 and 12 are like, wait a minute.
like
I haven't seen that person before.
So Greta, when you see this, you can see both the uncle and Sarissa both look at each other for a moment, and then Sarissa looks back at you, and it's clearly like a glance of recognition, like, oh wow, that thing. As this is happening, River and Urash, you're just kind of like, okay, there's Imrith looking kind of like sulky and mean, basically. But that's not what Selsig sees. Selsig, when you look over at Imrith, you see for a moment her eyes widen, as if she's shocked, maybe more than surprised. And so as the two of them are there, the uncle and Sarissa says, "The Order of the Kraken. I had heard of them before. Some kind of strange cult. The Order of the Kraken has my father?"
I didn't get to that point yet, but yes. They have him on a big boat called the Moroth. That's how we remember the name of the boat.
It is the Moroth. However, this doesn't lead to any recognition from anybody. They're just like, okay.
And they are like chartering him around the trackless sea. And we also brought a resurrection scroll for your mother.
And she stops when she says this. When you say this, she goes, "My mother? Resurrection?"
Yes. I belong to a church who specializes in healing and life magic, and there's a really, really good chance that this scroll will resurrect your mother.
So
If you
Imrith steps forward at this and holds up a hand and says, "Your Highness, this is absurd. You can't allow these people to come in here and do this. You have no idea whether you can trust them. That scroll might be something to destroy people. It might harm one of us. You can't just let them read this scroll and use them. Surely you won't allow..." And Sarissa holds up her hand and she's like, "I will hear out what the adventurers have to say before I make any decisions, Imrith." And Imrith kind of subsides into a,
Did you know
sullen
that
silence.
You know that Imrith, she tried to have the guards arrest us when we tried to come to have an audience with you?
And seemed to recognize the Order of the Kraken when the name was spoken.
And Sarissa looks over at her, and Imrith shrugs. Of course I've heard of the Order of the Kraken. It's not some kind of secret. We have heard those rumors before. And as for having you arrested, it's because you had the impertinence to try to walk in on your own. Had the impertinence to just walk into the throne room as if nothing matters. Part of your typical arrogance.
We were investigating at the request of your queen. Who's the more arrogant, us or you, who presumed to know better than your queen what she should hear about our investigation?
So Imrith begins to say, but I... And Sarissa says, enough. Celsic is right. I asked them to investigate, and I wanted a report. If the investigation is over, then I need the report now. And I will thank you not to predetermine who I am allowed to see or not see. Thank you, Imrith. And there's just a subtlest of, like, fingers, blue fingers of the giantess, like, curling a little bit around her scepter. And Imrith kind of is, like, you know, sort of lowers her head slightly and falls silent again. And Uthor, next to her, says, but even if all this is true, how exactly did you find this information? How did you gather it? This person, as you say, Dryland, would he have known to tell you about this? How do you know that these things are true and that there is some threat to us?
I used a magic spell called the Zone of Truth. So I know what he said is true. You might remember I offered to use that spell also here on Imrith, but she refused. But Dryland did not refuse, and so I know what he told us was true. Also,
unless you're lying about it now, says Imrith.
Also, Dryland...
Greta, place yourself under a zone of truth.
Who? Me?
Yes.
I can do that. If somebody somebody couldn't stand next to me, they would know that the zone of truth exists.
Nonsense. Shadows and demons from nowhere. A bunch of dreams and fantasies. And again, Sarissa holds up her hand. I'm satisfied this is proceeding as it should, Imrith. You have some way of demonstrating you are speaking the truth, Greta?
Well, I can put a zone of truth here, and everybody who enters this would feel that they're compelled to speak the truth when in there. So, if I'm allowed, I could just do that, and you could feel it.
Ha! What if it's a zone of lies? Imrith says.
You would also feel that.
You'd know about that.
Life. It's if you enter the zone, you feel that you're compelled to speak the truth. So you would know what kind of zone it is.
And
why not have two of you enter?
And she kind of folds her arms. And Sarissa says, before any of this, if there is a chance that this scroll that you have could bring back my mother, it is that first that should be done. And Imrith says, I would advise against... I am aware of what you would advise, Imrith. If there is an opportunity for us, a chance, then it is worth it to take the opportunity. Is there not? And Imrith sort of like shakes her head but doesn't say anything otherwise. Okay. And she says, all right. If this is true, I need you to come with me. We will judge for ourselves the truth of your actions and the truth of your words by your actions. Imrith, Uthor, you'll accompany me. And Uthor, her uncle, kind of bows slightly. And Imrith does the barest, like, you know, like, that type of thing, like, obviously incredibly angry about all this. Okay, and now Sarissa stands up and is prepared to stride off if you're going to follow her. Are you?
I think I'm expected to, so yes.
I would assume, yeah. Otherwise, I'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And everybody else is the assumption. Like, so I assume everyone else is too.
I wait till Imrith moves off before I move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Imrith starts to, move in that direction, basically following Sarissa and Uthor, like that. There we go. And also is accompanied by the Hill Giant guards. Okay. So, this brings us into Again, as you walk past this in this this place here in room 28, you can see that the water here is bubbling, as I said, and you can see occasionally a red-shelled crab or lobster pop up above the water. This is obviously where the lobsters and crabs are being prepared, presumably.
And we've lost River.
Can I try to snatch one?
It's gonna be hot.
Snatch it carefully.
That I'm not sure that keeps it from being hot. You could try.
If I snatch it and then I blow on it, I have ice breath.
That's true. All right, are you going to try snatching it out of the water?
Yeah.
Lobster popsicle.
Yes, going to have a dexterity check for me, please.
I got a 10. I don't think that's enough to snatch it.
No, you do it and you're just like, how? Like your hand is like boiling. You're
like,
going to... Yeah, exactly. You're going to take actually a point of damage, River. So not a big deal, but... And you sort of, you know, kind of see a couple of the guards look back at you like, what are you doing? Type of thing.
She has a very fast metabolism.
And they don't actually say anything at that, but just continue to go by. So they lead you through there. She leads you into this room, which basically has a bunch of what look like crates and barrels and things like that, maybe like food supplies, that sort of thing. Might be what you're looking at over here. You pass by another set of stairs that are heading upwards into what looks like a room with a pool, but the giant is moving fairly quickly, Sarissa, in front of you. And so... Let's see, give me my hill giants. All right. Right, there we go. And then, whoops. And then this. And then this. And then this. Okay. So they continue to make their way, making their way down. Pass into this room, which has a semi... Whoa, sorry. Never mind all of that. Little
just
overboard.
Feel this room. When we've passed this staircase and this staircase, what can we see through those tunnels?
So right down here, you can barely see. There's some kind of pool down there, although it's unclear as to how big it is or what's there. You think you might actually see, just very briefly, sort of catch sight of two large, probably giants, wrapped in seaweed floating on the water. But you don't really get a close glimpse of it because you're moving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Past here, as you walk past here, you can see what looks like a... there seem to be lily pads and kelp mats and things like that in here. It looks like it might be a room of some kind, like a bedroom of some kind, but there's no one in it at the moment.
I'm like, is this some sort of like spa retreat?
And exactly. They sort of like, yes, and here's the hot room. Here's the hot spa. Where you are here there is what looks like water here, and there it's basically a very still, clear, almost mirror-like surface. And again, she hurries on by here, and brings you over to this door, where she takes a key from a chain around her neck, Sarissa does, and then opens the door, unlocks it, to reveal this. There is... Okay, hang on a second. They may have given me the... Hold on just a moment. They gave me the wrong number. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they did give me the wrong number. That's a mistake. They told me the wrong number in here. Shame on you, Watsy. Okay, so never mind this place. You can see that later if you want. That is not actually what you see. She doesn't bring you there. She brings you down here, which is what I thought made sense in the first place. So she brings you down here, continues to bring you down into this room down there. Okay. Where you see the following. In this room, you see you see there is what looks like a submerged chamber. There's a 50-foot high pyramidal ceiling with walls that taper towards the beginning of the room at a height of about 30 feet. There are a number of jellyfish which are floating around and are bioluminescent, and they are illuminating a 40-foot tall statue of a huge storm giant, bare-chested, a foamy beard, sharp trident, and a lower body which has been transformed into a great wave, which is all carved from stone. And as you look at this sort of very impressive sight, ultimately, you can see that the walls of this place, which is clearly some kind of temple, is etched with images of storm giants riding whales, battling, dragon turtles. Some of them are blowing conch shells to summon giant crabs, giant octopi, manta rays, schools of fish, and so on. And there are starfish and sea urchins that are clinging to the walls and congregating around the base of the statues also. And as they come over into the room, everyone stops, and then Nerissa nods at Uther. And Uther goes over to the statue and moves it. This thing is 40 feet, right? He just slides it to the west against the wall. And as he does so, you hear this, and this shaft opens up in the wall, revealing this area behind. And when it's there, she sort of looks at you and then descends. Now, you will all have to just you can basically wade, but you're going to have to wade into the water to basically do this. Even for Celsig and for Greta, you should be okay, but you're going to have to wade into the water, not swim, but you'll have to be somewhat submerged, just so you know.
Well, if that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do.
Okay. So you wade over to this room. In this room, you see, again, these bioluminescent fish which are swimming about this flooded chamber, and they dimly illuminate at its center an ornate sarcophagus which is inlaid with blue coral. Its lid is beautifully carved in the likeness of a female storm giant with a crown atop her head. And as Sarissa comes over, she sort of goes over to this and kind of bows her head. And Imrith, coming up behind the hill giants, kind of go over here and sort of just floating, more or less, kind of up to their knees anyway. And Imrith says, "I renew my objection to this, Highness. This could be a mistake." And Sarissa, again, raises a hand without looking at her. And she whispers something to the top of the sarcophagus. And then she pulls back on the lid. And inside the sarcophagus, you can see the body of a storm giant wrapped head to toe in black kelp. And all around, you can see behind you are these stone sarcophagi, their barnacle-covered lids also sculpted to look like regal storm giants. And Sarissa looks at you and says, "Here lies my mother, Queen Neri. If what you say is true, then you must bring her to life here." And she stares at you.
Do we end it here for today, or shall I go on?
No, I wanted to just do this part, and then we will end it at that point.
Read the scroll. Read the scroll.
I'll try to get the scroll out of my pack without it getting wet, if possible.
Yeah, you can do that as long as you hold it over your head, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like it would be very undignified to ask a storm giant to hold me up, right? So, okay. So I step over to the sarcophagus and I read the scroll.
So as you read it...
if there's not Queen Neri in there, I'm going to be so pissed.
Yeah, exactly. "Hello, I'm Joe, the third guard who died." So you begin to read this, and you hear this sort of humming sound. And those of you, I assume the rest of you are in the room and not outside like that. Assuming that everyone's in the rest of the room, you can also hear what sounds almost like this coming from what sounds like coming from the sarcophagi themselves, as if the giant sarcophagi are singing along with your own music.
I'm aiming at only one of them.
No,
right?
I know.
So,
You're aiming at the one in the middle. I know. You get through, and as you read the last word, the words on the scroll, like just as if they were burned away, disappear from the paper, leaving a blank page. And for just a moment, nothing happens. And then the hum dies down, and there is silence. And then the kelp-covered body moves, and one hand rips off the bed of kelp, and you can see a face that looks gaunt and drawn, and eyes kind of looking back and forth, and sitting up gradually, sort of staring around. You see this female giant, a crown on her head, and her eyes blink as she tries to focus. And Sarissa, with several tears streaming down her face, comes over and says, Mother, do you know me? And there's a long pause, and then, Sarissa, Queen Neri says, my child, what has happened? And that is where we are going to bring this session to a close. The plot is thickened. It has gotten thicker and more, oleaginous. It's there, man. It's there. Good stuff, everybody. A lot of different components to this session, bookended by that really cool sequence of what you guys did at the end, what Greta did, and the beginning, of course, with Orash and the Axe of Tempest. So, good work. I'm going to start down below. You were sure it was going to go so sideways. Well, I mean, we'll see what else happens next. I mean, obviously, Imrith is not a fan of anything of what's happened so far, apparently. I'm going to start with, on the bottom, Tasty Chai. Always a pleasure. It was fun to see River's reaction. I was wondering how River might act with some of the things, especially given the test. I had no doubt that she would, of course, not, she would go along with everyone was doing, but I wondered how she would do it. And I thought, actually, there's a straight to the pointness about River, which I sometimes appreciate, which is just kind of like, he's my friend, I won't attack my friend, that's not how you treat friends. It's very, very clear, and I thought that was fun. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the folks see you next?
I, of course, loved today's session. It was a lot of fun. The bits that I was able to actually participate in. And I know this will get better. It'll get easier.
It'll get there. It does. Trust me. Can confirm.
Yeah, I know it'll get there. But, of course, it was great fun. And I'm really glad I was able to, engage during that part because the baby was screaming. So I was like, oh, no, I have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I really liked how we all kind of dealt with that. Because for a second there, I was like, oh, he's going to kill me so bad. As for when the people will see me next, I have been streaming over on my personal channel very regularly. So that will be tomorrow afternoonish Mountain Time. We have been playing a ton of Frostpunk, but I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that because I think people are sick of it. So I'll do something else.
I don't really know what to make of that, Geister. I maybe that could well be. But thank you, Chai. Always a pleasure, and we will look forward to. We're just chatting in Zoom a little bit about when the next session is going to be, because apparently players want to play again. I don't know who wants to play this game.
Want to play.
Just,
Can
really.
we just do it tomorrow? Is that an option?
Yeah, let's just immediately go back to it tomorrow. Exactly. Yeah, no personal experience, not at all. That's funny. Good stuff, though. We will absolutely see how that goes. But thank you, Chai. Good stuff today. Mike, again, thank you so much for the video. Again, it was wonderful, and we will probably play it one more time next week, and then I won't play it next session. I won't play it every session because it's long, but I do want us to be able to have it available and play it periodically at times. So I'm gonna do some of that here and there. But thank you for the dedication and the commitment to the project and for putting it all together and everything. It was a lot of work, and it came out beautifully. Beyond that, good stuff tonight, I thought as well. well with the Axe of Tempest. I wanted to try to make that sort of worthy of the effort you had put into this thing with the axe, and I think both you and the rest of the party handled that very well. And now there's the issue of like sort of focusing on the problems to come. So I look forward to seeing how you manage that going forward. But how'd you feel about today, Mike?
Yeah,
and where will the fine people see you next?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed today's session. I've been looking forward to it pretty much most of this month, to be honest with you. And obviously with quite a lot of cool stuff happening in real life, and obviously the video being complete, it just, I don't know, it just today felt really, really special. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, it was an Urash heavy beginning, which always, you know, boosts my own ego. But knowing that kind of the party is a bit more joined, a bit more focused on each other as well is always a nice one. If people want to find out more from myself, you can check out my Twitter handle, which is Peripheral Mike, or you can check out my company website, which is peripheralmedia.net. I'll stick a link one last time for the full video for the catch up in chat, and I guess I'll see you next time.
Good stuff. Thank you again, Mike. Good stuff as always, and thank you one last time for the video. Moving right on up the line, Saber, also good stuff from you. I think that it was, again, very interesting to see not only the usual play of Celsig, but also how you handled the situation. And I should have mentioned that handling the situation with the Axe of Tempest was well done by Mike, but I was also going to say that the way each of the players did, including you, and I thought your sort of discussion of it, which is like, he's been, a loyal person and a good warrior, and here's how this goes down, seemed very appropriate and along that same, as we were talking about, character arc for Celsig, which is just like, well, I'm not fighting that guy. It was more like, I wouldn't fight him, like I don't want to fight him, right, type of thing, which I thought was well done there too. And then having a little bit of stealth, though not sadly carried forward by all the rest of the party in the stealth, but everyone tries. How'd you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
Holy cow, this was one of my favorite sessions we've had so far, I think. From the unveiling of the video to Urash powering up his axe to calling a giant's bluff and just going, "Who are you? Get out my way." You're just walking past.
That was interesting. I'm like,
that took a bit of nerve because I could see several ways that could go wrong, mostly with me as a pancake. but never pass up a chance to thumb your nose at a villain. It's always fun. Always fun. And what a cliffhanger to leave this on. And I'm with most of us, I think, here looking at the discussion going off behind the scenes right now. But we have to continue this as soon as possible. So, yeah, but I will be back here tomorrow, not playing D&D, but on similar lines, I will be playing Tyranny, because I really enjoyed it. Played it for the first time on Sunday.
Good game,
and
Tyranny.
and I've been told I left off. Well, I ran out of time just before things really start to ramp up and get good and open up. Not get good, it was good already, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I'll be back here tomorrow with some more Tyranny.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I streamed it on here. I think I streamed it on here like 2 years ago or whatever it was. And
yes,
it was a lot of fun. And it is a good game. And I actually think is a little underrated. I think it kind of got lost in some of the other hype over Pillars of Eternity, and I actually think it's better than Pillars of Eternity. That's just me. Anyway, it was cool. So I think I look forward to getting a chance to tune in if I can and watch you play some of that. Should be a good time. Thank you, Saber. And again, thank you for doing, as always, Moobot and Dashboard. I appreciate that too. Last but certainly not least, Pyron. Good stuff today as well. I very much appreciated seeing what we saw from Greta. I thought the line about, him being a cleric was kind of funny. But this moment of resurrection, and you were really the one who kept pushing that, the idea that everyone thought, well, we could do this. You were like, look, this is a scroll that ought to be used for a purpose like this. There was none of that like, well, let's find the poor person who needs it. Like, you're like, this seems like this is why I've been given this scroll. It has come to me for this purpose. And that was a nice moment at the end, walking towards the sarcophagus and casting that spell and sort of seeing the reaction that people had around you. I thought that was very atmospheric, and that was kind of set up by the way you managed it. How did you feel about today, and where will the lovely folks see you next?
I absolutely loved it today. I was so tired going into the session, and then the start with Urash, that was like the perfect start for me today, I have to admit, because I could like go back a little bit and just enjoy it, and it was so wonderful. And This was a great session. I am so happy. And I don't know when the good folks will see me next, but it might be from our internal discussion on December 1st for the next session, and then maybe again on December 8th if we actually can do 2 sessions in because it's December. It's like the time of giving, so please give me more.
So please give you more. I mean, I'll ask Chad about that in just a second before I sign off for Pencil Siren. But go ahead and finish up.
And so yeah, I would like that. I always say I would like to stream more, but I have to admit we're still renovating the house and everything is a bit stressful. But it is so good to be on here. You're all wonderful.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, Pyron, and good stuff today. I also just want to quickly mention, because you reminded me of it, Chai, your thing about saying the thing about I've never had a friend, I was like, I was just like, that also made me tear up a little bit. I was like, again, really lovely moments, which is what happens when players invest characters. And I always like to hope that everyone's having a good time, but it's nice when people are like, no, really, can we play a lot more? Which is always a good sign. Like, if you're having a miserable time, you don't want to play more, but everyone always wants to do that. I mean, Chad, it sounds like no one's saying no, so I mean, if GOG is cool with it, I mean, twist my arm, I gotta play my favorite game more. I mean, like, I'm cool playing twice. Yeah, we can do 1st and 8th, that's cool with me. I'll do Vaporum. Sorry, go ahead, Chai.
Remember, it's Christmas.
It is Christmas. It is the season of giving. So now it is the season of talking to resurrected storm giants. Like that's what this is the season of. So it's going to be a good time. The second session is Christmas cosplay. Listen, I'm going to leave that up to them, but we will consider doing that. Yeah, I'm cool with it. If everyone's cool with it, I'm cool with it.
Bring joy, then we definitely need to dish out some more sessions.
Yeah. Hey, look,
enough in 2020.
Yeah, that's true. This is kind of like setting up 2021 to hopefully be a better year by doing this. It's like setting the tone. Here's how we make this happen. Yeah, that would be great. And yeah, I think I'm happy to do that. That's fine. So that means Vaporum lockdown next week, assuming everyone still agrees. D&D the next 2 weeks, and then I'll go back to Vaporum lockdown after that. I am fine with all that. That's all good. So with that said, though, I'm going to let these fine people go because I got to wrap up and hand over to Pantsless Aaron. Thank you for being patient, Aaron. We wanted to see a giant get resurrected. There's kind of a lot going on. But thank you so much, as always. Chat, can we get some love for our amazing players? Thank you to Pyron Jade. Thank you to Darksaber2K. Thank you again to Mike Smith, Peripheral Mike, for this amazing video as well. And thank you to Tasty Chai. Great stuff, players. Much love to all of you. And I will see you folks, I guess, in a couple of weeks, as it turns out. Bye for now. All right. I wanted to see a storm giant get resurrected. Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, listen, it's really cool to see everyone get into it this way, and it is. And I really like Maelstrom as a setting because I think it's just everything is just so like mysterious and kind of troublingly enormous, and just kind of like, wow, you're not joking around, are you? Because they're storm giants, yo, and this is the way they do things. So anyway, I had a great time, and as always, the players were great, and yeah, and I'm excited for more. But for now, I'm going to get on out of here for Pantsless Aaron, who is going to be back with doing some more Dead Space, and hopefully, because I know he was talking about this before, he'll be actually done with this soon, because I know he wants to, get through and defeat Dead Space and be done with it soon. So hopefully that will happen. I hope you live through Dead Space, Pantsless Aaron. As for me, I will be back on this channel next week, Tuesday, for more Vaporum Lockdown, Pen and Pixels at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm also going to be on my channel in a couple of hours with some of my vocal team, the Art Vocalists, playing the Paper Mario, the Origami King. So I'm going to have my voice crew fully voicing Paper Mario, which is always a good time and is very different from the feel of this because it's just shenanigans. So if you want to see some of the shenanigans, that's the place that you should go. But thank you, everybody. This was great tonight. Thank you as well to all the moderators. Thank you again to Mike for his wonderful video. And that's going to be it for me. Much love. I will see all of you folks. I love the colors. I do. I will see all of you lovely folks either on my channel tonight after Pencil Siren is done, hopefully, or later this week, next week, I should say, rather, for Tuesday for episode 251. Other than that, time to close up episode 250 of Pen and Pixels. It's been a great 250 episodes. I look forward to more. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Stick around for Pantsless Aaron, and I will see all of you lovely people very soon. Thank you as well, most of all, to my players. And now, I bid you adieu. Night for now, everyone.